Welcome, my little couch potatoes, to the comfiest courtroom on the internet. I'm your host, Llama, and it's time for dramatic testimony, overruled objections, and absolutely unqualified opinions. So grab your snuggiest blanket, some delicious snacks, and get ready to watch court with your internet besties. This is Couch Court with Llama.
Hello, couch potatoes. Good morning. Good morning. It is Thursday. Oh, we are almost to the weekend, and I am so excited. I am so excited. This week has been a week of trial and tribulations. Let me tell you what, I am glad we're almost at the weekend. Speaking of almost at the end, today we're going to be doing day 3, part 2 of the Cardi B trial. The last of the testimony. That's right. That's it. That's all we got today. And it'll be Dr. James Rosenberg, a psychiatrist, and Dr. David Finke, the doctor that Cardi B went to go see that day. And then tomorrow we do closings and all that. I'm not sure. Now I'm like, oh man, I kind of wish there was more, because yesterday was that lawyer, man. He's so bad at it. But then I was like, yeah, but you could have sat through weeks of that. And maybe just a little bit was all we really needed regarding that. Maybe. Good morning, Lady in Gray. She says, grab your coffee, take a seat on the couch, and watch the trial like a hot potato, or cold. Just watch however you like your potatoes in the morning, I guess. All of the snark. Good morning, Teresia. Hope you're doing well. Haven't seen you in a few days. Hope you're doing good. Maybe you're just lurking. Either way, happy Thursday to you. Don't forget to hit the like button, you guys, as you come on in. Lets everybody know that we're live, and this is where the party's going to be today. Good morning, Sammy Sunshine. Hope you're doing well. And Pam, well, good morning to you too, Pam. Oh my goodness, it's like getting a full house in here already. I love it. You know what else I love? You guys are going to start noticing over the next couple months is because it's getting fall here in Ohio. I mean, it's been very cool. It's like 67 degrees right now, and you are going to learn that I have quite the collection of cardigans. They're my favorite thing in the whole world. It's like you get to like appropriately wear a blanket around, and people can't judge you. So wait till you see all of my cardigans and sweaters. I have so many. The Lady in Gray says, are both of these doctors psychologists? No. The first one is a psychiatrist, and then Dr. Finke is Cardi's OB-GYN that day. So he's the last witness we're going to hear from, which I'm excited to hear from him. See what he is. He's probably just going to be like, I don't even know why I'm here. I don't even know. I mean, I do ask myself that all the time, every day. I don't know why I'm here. That's right, you guys. Hit the like button. A llama earns its gavel, and Terry gets a glass of wine. So do the right thing. That's right. Do the right thing. Now, you guys, before we jump into court and people are gathering in, I don't want to get started and leave anybody behind. So while we're waiting for everybody to come in, let's talk about some stuff I need to promote, you guys. Lots of exciting things. Oh, yeah, I painted my nails the other day. What do you guys think? They're pink with like confetti. Oh, they're so much fun. And these are my real nails. I guess they are square. And as we've learned in this trial, the different style of nails, which I did not know about. Are these square coffins, Sam? Is that the style? Is that how it goes? Juju, good morning, babe. Hope you're doing good. Oh, I love seeing all your guys' faces. It's going to be a good day. I like that. Well, you guys, don't forget, sorry about the snafu with Midday Missing yesterday. Technical difficulties. It was just one of those days. But today is not going to be one of those days. But in case you didn't know, Terry True Crime is back every Monday and Wednesday covering missing persons cases where the families are still searching for answers. So be sure to check the ones that just came out so you can help spread their stories and maybe get some answers. Oh, you want to see this again? There you go. They're square. But unlike Cardi's, I don't really file my nails, so they are kind of sharp. I probably should file them, but I don't really like the sound or like the way it like moves my nail on the finger. Ooh, I don't like it. I don't like it. You got the sickness. Oh, you know what? I am hoping it's all in my head, but I kind of, which is kind of funny, but I feel like I might be having a sinus infection brewing. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't really been sick yet this year. And I feel it, but it could because the weather is like all over the place here. It's in the 50s at night, 70s, 80s during the day. It's just chaos here in Ohio, but hope you start feeling better, babe. Dave, good morning. Good morning. Hope you're doing great. Good, sir. They're square. Okay, so Llama has square nails today. Well, you love the sparkles. Well, guess who sent me this pink and glittery nail polish? I'll give you one guess. Her name's Terry True Crime. Because of course it was her. Of course it was. Nail length is a discussion. We've been learning lots about nails along with the lawyer of the plaintiff who doesn't seem to know anything about nails either, which is one thing for us, but another when you're trying to get your client $24 million. So, but to remind you guys, tonight, True Crime and Wine Time, we're going to be covering part 3 of the Aton Pates case since we had to postpone last week due to the Donna Adelson verdict. We're going to be doing that tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. This episode will be one of the longest we've done in a while, so you may need 2 bottles of wine instead of 1. And we'll be discussing the trials of Pedro Hernandez and where the case is today, which is very relevant for my couch court people. So, and all I can say is be prepared for some rants because Llama does not have some nice things to say. Dave says y'all disappeared yesterday and I couldn't find you, so I went to customer service and asked them to page you guys. Nothing. Excuse me, watchers of YouTube. Dave has lost his mom. Please come to the customer service desk. Maybe we'll put Llama instead of mom. That was weird. Why did I say that? I don't know. I don't know. And tomorrow, if you guys are members, after we're done with Couch Court, I'm going to be recording parts 6 and 7 of my Devil in the Bay investigative series that will be released in December. So you guys can hear the story ahead of time, while then we spend months cutting it all up and making visuals and turning it into a really dynamic show. I'm really excited about it. So tomorrow we'll be doing parts 6 and 7. I wrote parts 8 and 9 last night. So we're nearing the end of the story, but we still got a lot of information to cover. So if you think you know how it ends, only kind of probably. And then you guys, my very exciting news is that Monday, September 15th, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, will be our new merch and membership launch party. That's for everybody. We've been working behind the scenes putting together some of the cutest and affordable merch we could come up with, and we'll be releasing new stuff every month. I am so excited. I'm going to buy so many things. I usually don't get that excited about merch things, but I'm excited, and maybe it's my own, but I mean, it's pretty cute. I designed some of it and I think it's pretty cute. Good morning, Misbehaving in Florida. Hope you're doing good today, babes. Love that. Love that you're here. And then as for our members, it's because of you guys and your support that we're able to keep the lights on over here and do what we love. We'll be announcing 6 new membership tiers that I can promise you have more perks than a lot of the other channels I checked out, put it that way. Because for us, by being a member of our YouTube channel, you will get your money's worth by investing in us. And I am so excited for this party so I can finally share secrets. Our staff doesn't even know all the secrets. That's right. That's how under wraps we've been able to keep this. So I'm really excited to share that all with you guys. And one of the things I can talk about that come with becoming a member is our new show that kicks off. When does it kick off? Sorry, I do know things. Friday, September 19th will be our first show of that. It is called TMI, Too Much Internet, where we round up some of the craziest things on the internet, talk about them, laugh a lot. It's going to be such a fun show. And look at that cutie little robot. He's going to be put on a lot of merch. I can tell you that now because I'm obsessed with him. And we don't have a name for him yet. So you'll definitely want to be there for that. That'll be every Friday for our members. And then the first Friday of every month, that show will be public for everyone else. But it's going to be fun. You know, we talk about so much like serious stuff on this channel, which is fine. We love doing that. It's a passion of ours. But we just want one show where we can just laugh and be silly and have a fun time and just, you know, feel more like friends with all of you guys, you know, an insight into who we are as just regular people. So I'm very excited for this show to start. I'm getting it all together because I am the showrunner for that show. So it's going to be a fun time. Now, you guys, if you miss us when we're not live, join our Discord server, The Courtyard. That is where we are when we're not live. That's where everybody's hanging out. We got all sorts of conversations going on over there. We have a lot of true crime stuff, case files, court documents, documentaries. We stream quite often, you know, movies, TV shows that aren't even true crime relevant because we are a bunch of TV nerds, okay? I am. Biggest one probably here. I'm like, oh, everybody needs to watch this thing, and that's what we do. We do a lot of fun stuff over there, and rumor has it that somebody, i.e. me, is in the middle of planning a murder mystery party, which I've done before, and if you never got to participate in it, you are definitely going to want to. It is the funnest time. I think we did like 3 or 4 murder mystery parties last year. And it was so much fun. We dressed up, we'd be silly. You don't necessarily, excuse me, have to be a character to play along, but I'll be putting details out on our Discord in a few weeks about the date and what will be happening. Sam says, do you remember the robot dog in like the 2000? Yes, I do remember that. Oh, what a time to be alive. Yes, Murder Mystery Mayhem will return, you guys. Which one is Llama going to do? I don't know. I don't know. But I can thank past Llama for doing all the hard work for me last year. So I'm going to take a look at it this weekend, and we'll put out some feelers and all of that in the Discord. So yes, that's right. You're having a football team emoji battle over there. I saw y'all in there last night doing the little emoji things, and I don't know zippy zap about football. So I was like, I'll just let them carry on. All right, you guys, let's get into Cardi B. Everybody is here. Which one do I need? This one. Let's exit out that one so I don't get confused. There we go. Let me get my little things on the screen. And banner. We need that. And that's not how you do that, Llama. What is it? Your first day? Why is it doing that? Oh, because I didn't make a full screen. Oh my goodness. Get it together. All right. Like I said, we only have 2 people on the stand for today, and then that's all we got today. Tomorrow we'll do closing arguments. Those are actually significantly longer than their 9-minute openers they did. And then we'll cover the verdict and all of that tomorrow before we do members only The Devil in the Bay recording. So, all right, let's see what craziness day 3 part 2 brings us. Okay. Should we start in it?
Yes, Your Honor. I did request a short hearing about the issue that I have. I have someone from my office who did research on this photograph here.
Oh, did you, sir?
This was taken
this lawyer, you guys.
I'm sorry, February 18th of 2018. And when this was presented, the court was advised and everybody was advised that it was on February 24th of 2018. If the court would take judicial notice of people magazine. There's I can put it on Llama if the court wishes to see it.
Oh, People magazine.
It was published on February 19, 2018 at 11:25 a.m. Eastern Time by People magazine, which shows this exact same photograph. So it would be a misrepresentation.
Do you have a witness to testify to this?
I have Mr. Traffic Grossman.
That he looked on the internet?
Well, he does my investigations at this time. And
He looked on the internet.
Testifying that this photograph was taken on February 18th of 2018. That game that she's speaking of, the All-Star game, was on February 18th of 2018. It's a whole week before. So I would like to recall the plaintiff. I'd like to call him somebody to clarify this issue. That's all I'm asking.
Mr. Warner, may I?
Okay.
Warner? That photograph is provided to us by Atlantic Records. We have someone who can attest to that, Justin Grant.
That's
When you search up that photo, you find it was from February 18th, 2024. That was All-Star Weekend in 2024. And there are people that have reposted it and incorrectly put 2018. So what the plaintiff's counsel is saying is not accurate. It was 2024.
Okay.
Yeah, I had some.
I mean, 2018. You know what I'm saying? February 18th, 2018.
I will stipulate that the date is February 18th of 2018. The problem with that testimony, or the problem
Let me
with that
guess. She has
representation
long nails
counsel
in
is
that one.
This incident happened 6 days later.
Right, and that was my point of using it. She
So-
testified
so
she
hold
was
on,
the same
hold on.
Amazon.
No, Your Honor, she testified that she got this picture taken on the same day. She testified under oath that at 6 p.m. on February 24, 2018, this picture was taken. That's false. That is a false statement. Her own attorney admits February 18th of 2018 is the date of this photograph.
Okay. I'm not going to have the jury waiting for this. We're ready to call the next defense witness.
There's one other issue, Your Honor.
How is that?
I did have a
Yes,
conversation with the witnesses that I have. They're unable to appear Tuesday morning. It's not possible.
Okay, then you're not going to call him.
I understand that that's the court ruling, but I just want to put on the record as soon as I learned that I cannot produce them Tuesday morning.
This guy's such a bullshitter.
All right.
I have
you-
witnesses, but they can't be here because I'm not prepared, even though I've had this case for like 2 years. I don't know. Oh my God, this lawyer is a mess. If you haven't been watching this guy, he's been practicing law since 2024. You would honestly think that he just barely passed the bar last year. I know we're not lawyers, but it's like plain as day. Excuse me, this guy is nuts.
Still on the record in the Ellis matter, we're now joined by the jury and alternates. At this point in time, we're going to suspend plaintiff's case in chief. We're going to begin the defense case in chief. And does the defense have a witness to call?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense calls Dr. James Rosenberg.
All right.
I believe maybe in the hallway.
Okay. Do you want to retrieve him?
Now, the defense did call the secretary yesterday, Tiara. I forget what her name is off the top of my head, but that was because it had to be done out of order. So this is officially the defense's case with 2 whole witnesses, which, they really don't need much because the plaintiff case is not strong or reliable. So it was mysterious.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Oh, goodness.
may I please have you go around?
Oh, I'm sorry, around the other way?
Yes, please.
I forgot to put a little.
Step right next to the photo. Please raise your right hand. Do solemnly state that the testimony you may give and the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Ugh.
Yes.
Thank you. May I please have you state and spell your first and last name for the record?
James, James.
James Gunn.
Rosenberg.
Kind of look a little bit like
Perfect, thank
James
you. You
Gunn
can
from the
please
side.
step.
Thank you.
A lot of nothing. All right, he doesn't really look that much like James Gunn, I guess. He doesn't look much like a psychiatrist either.
My name's Dr. James Rosenberg. I'm a licensed medical doctor in California. I specialize in psychiatry.
I like his tie.
Can you please outline your professional education for
He's
us?
so big guy.
Yes, I studied philosophy and molecular biology at UC Berkeley. I then did a year of surgery research at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, including coronary laser angioplasty research. I attended medical school for 4 years at UCLA. I then did an internship in primarily specialties of surgery and cancer medicine, including neurosurgery,
with this
cardiac
value,
thoracic surgery. I then did a 3-year residency at the UCLA Neuropsychiatric Institute in psychiatry, and I did a fellowship in forensic psychiatry at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland with a Dr. Philip Resnick.
Okay, and what licenses and board certifications do you hold?
Yes, lady in gray. I can't put all my
My
spoilers out
license
there.
is to practice medicine in the state of California. I have a lifetime board certification in psychiatry. In
Yeah,
1996,
not
I got
reliable.
my second board certification in forensic psychiatry, a subspecialty of psychiatry involving the legal system. That's every 10 years. I renewed it for another 10 years until 2016. And then due to a very bad experience I had in a criminal case, my wife and I decided I wouldn't renew it again and I would stop doing criminal work.
Oh, what happened?
Okay, can you please briefly summarize your professional
Nosy.
experience as a psychiatrist?
So after I completed my training and came back to my fellowship, I became assistant director of psychiatry at the West Los Angeles VA Medical Center and ran the locked psychiatric intensive care unit at UCLA Teaching Service and was there for a few years. I was a member of the UCLA Medical School faculty for 16 years. After I left the VA, because my forensic consultation practice started to get busy, I always continued to see patients at least one day a week unrelated to any legal matter. Most recently, it was 22 years at a nonprofit community mental health clinic in Van Nuys, providing psychiatric evaluation treatment of homeless and low-income individuals. My forensic psychiatry practice, the first half of my career was primarily criminal cases, approximately 200 murders, mass murder, serial criminals, and other types of major crimes. The second half has been primarily civil litigation matters of brain injuries, catastrophic physical injuries with PTSD claims, and employment-related matters. I've consulted over the years to the United States Attorney in Washington, D.C. on organized crime in the Eastern District of New York, the Medical Board, the Attorney General, and also for 8 years I was a consultant to the show Law and Order Special Victims Unit.
Thank you. Your Honor, I would like to show Exhibit 220 to the witness. Dr. Rosenberg, it's Exhibit 220 in the blue binder.
Okay, thank you.
It was a super scratch. Everything is
Okay, I'm
super.
at 220.
Are you familiar with this document?
Yes, this looks like the first page of my resume or curriculum vitae.
And can you please flip through it and let me know if that's a true, correct copy of your CV?
Yes, this is the most current version, last updated February 2023.
Thank you. Your Honor, defendant moves to admit Exhibit 220 in evidence.
Thanks so much.
Hold on.
Have you been retained as an expert on behalf of the defendant Cardi B in this case?
That's my understanding.
And what is it that you were asked to do?
I was asked to conduct a psychiatric evaluation of Ms. Ellis's emotional injury claims related to the incident on February 24th, 2018.
I'm gonna go get some coffee. This might be good.
Have you served as a retained expert in previous cases?
Yes, both criminal and civil matters, probably over my career, maybe 1,500 times.
Experts are paid for their time. What is your rate that you charge for the time that you spent working on this case?
So I charge, my base rate is $550 an hour, which is for reviewing records, my face-to-face examination of Ms. Ellis, scoring the psychological testing, and writing a report. My rate for testimony in deposition, which was taken in this case, or trial like today, is $800 an hour, and there's a 4-hour blocks.
$800 an hour.
Does your fee depend in any way on whether your opinion is favorable to Cardi B?
No, that's never been the case. And for example, I've never worked on the lien, which does involve that type of interest from my non-attorney standpoint.
Do you recall approximately how long you've been engaged on this matter?
I believe it's been since early 2023.
So 2 years, and this is
Okay.
what we got for
How
a
much,
trial, you guys.
Have you charged in this matter over those 2.5 roughly years?
Well, for reviewing the records, which I've had to re-review, and additional records, examination, the psych testing, my report, preparing for deposition with plaintiff's counsel, I think I've thus far charged something a little over $30,000.
Okay. And I believe you testified that you conducted a psychiatric
Did
evaluation.
he just say he got $30,000?
As part of your duties in this case. Is that correct?
Yes, so the psychiatric evaluation is, to me, a broader term that consists of the triad of reviewing records, conducting a face-to-face examination, and scoring and utilizing the psychological testing that was administered during that examination. So it's a matter of integrating and correlating and weighing the information from those three sources.
And can you please, in just a little more detail, explain what happened during that evaluation in this case?
Certainly. So I believe it was in July, maybe around July 21st, 2023. So it took about, I would say, roughly 6 hours. The entire examination was audio recorded. And the first half of the examination was the administration of the psychological testing, where using gold standard psychological tests, I provided them to Ms. Ellis. I was there with her the entire time and made sure she understood the instructions, and then she filled out the answering sheets, circles or bubble and answer sheets as she went along. The second half of the day was the interview, and in accordance with generally accepted principles, whether it's a patient care or clinical setting or forensic setting like this, the interview involves a wide variety of background areas in order to establish a baseline, some of these risk and resilience factors for developing a psychiatric disorder. So it includes, for example, a brief developmental history, education growing up, employment, social marital relationships, medications, general medical history, substance use history, if any, whether there are any family history of any psychiatric or medical conditions that are relevant and carry a genetic risk for Ms. Ellis, as well as legal issues like workers' comp claims. So a variety of background areas. And then to establish that baseline in detail, what Ms. Ellis was like, let's say in the month or so before the incident in this case, then a brief discussion of that incident, and then in detail tracing the onset and course of her reported emotional and other symptoms and how that's affected her, and in the context of also correlating that with her real life day-to-day function and any health care that she sought out and received.
Okay, and based on that examination, did you reach any conclusions with respect to whether the plaintiff suffered a mental or emotional injury as a result of her encounter with Cardi B?
Yes, I did reach an opinion, as with all my opinions, I reached an opinion with reasonable medical probability in that regard.
Thank you. And what was that opinion?
My opinion is that there is no significant evidence that Ms. Ellis sustained an emotional injury at any point in time in this case, from the time of the incident to present, with the understanding that an emotional injury, from my standpoint, consists of the onset of one or more psychiatric diagnoses in accordance with the American Psychiatric Association's guidelines or criteria, or the substantial worsening if there was a pre-existing disorder. And that, in my opinion, Ms. Ellis has never qualified for that in this case.
Thank you. I believe you testified that one of the parts of your examination was psychological testing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you please briefly explain what those tests were?
Yes. So, again, what's very important is first the choice of tests. I use gold standard tests that are well validated scientifically and recognized as appropriate tests for this context. So the purpose of the test is that first they have validity scales that look at how somebody's approaching taking the test.
I'm sorry, I
and
might
what
have missed.
information that says generally about
So
how the individual
he's with
may be,
Emani doing this,
approaching,
right?
Reporting an
Like
emotional
not
injury
just
claim
basing
as well as
his
on the test specifically. They then
stuff off of
include a
stuff he's
variety
read, right?
of clinical scales: anxiety, depression,
I was distracted.
PTSD, physical symptoms, substance
Yes,
use,
okay.
cognitive symptoms, meaning
But she didn't
things
like
like
that.
memory, attention, concentration, personality, psychosis, a variety of factors like that.
And can you please identify what tests are administered?
Yes, so I administered
Cardi has the hiccups.
the MMPI-3. I'm sorry, it was either the MMPI-3 or the MMPI-2-RF. Those are the current ultimate gold standard tests. You have to pass that test. For example, to fly a passenger jet, to be in the Secret Service, you have to pass that, or the other test I gave, for example, to become a
Probably
law
wouldn't
enforcement
pass that.
officer in California. So I gave the MMPI-2-RF or the MMPI-3. I gave the only other gold standard test of that type, the personality
Be
assessment
like, ma'am,
inventory,
you are
or
always
PAI.
anxious.
And then something that's very
You shouldn't have
secondary
five
is I
things.
gave a brief screening cognitive test, simple 10-minute test used in primary care that looks at things like attention, memory, concentration.
Hello, Savage.
And can you please summarize
That
for the
guy,
jury what
He
the
was
process of
something,
taking
right?
the MMPI-2 or 3 test looks like?
Sure. So,
Or what's that
I first asked if the individual is
PID
familiar with
doctor's
it,
name? Oh, I
and
can't
then
think of her
if
name
she
right
can
now.
see the
Lady
answer
in
sheet
gray
and
with the
booklet,
assist.
have her read the
You know
formal
who I'm talking
instructions
about.
at the beginning of the test booklet and tell me that she understands them. And then it's a matter of answering about 335 questions where you bubble in on a separate answer sheet, true or false, for those questions. And then I take the results of that and I use the test publisher's official scoring software, which I have on a laptop computer, input those answers, and then generate a statistical report based upon her answers. It provides a variety of scales and scores, and then narrative text, meaning it provides a text description of what individuals like who these scores tend to look like, although it doesn't talk specifically about Ms. Ellis. And you would never want to make an opinion about somebody based on just a test. Again, it's a matter of correlating them with your overall evaluation, with the interview and the record review.
Thank you. Your Honor, I'd like to show Trial Exhibit 229 to the witness.
Objection, hearsay.
Hi, Buffy. Good morning.
Publish it at this point.
Not
Good
at this
morning.
Oh, okay. I thought I know.
Bill.
Just published.
Good morning, babe.
Thank you.
This is the
Can you please
psychiatrist who
indicate
evaluated
to Exhibit
Emani,
229?
apparently, for the defense. We're just now getting into it.
Okay, I'm at 229. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you familiar with this document?
Yes. So this is the report of the MMPI-2 psychological test that I administered to Ms. Ellis on July 21st, 2023, and which I provided along with other documents to opposing counsel before my deposition.
And does this document refresh your recollection as to which version of the MMPI-2 test you
Who
conducted?
I was thinking
in Ms.
about?
Ellis' case?
Or from
Yes, I gave the MMPI-2. That and the MMPI-3 are
Who's
the
the
most
crazy
recent.
older
and
lady from
again, the gold
Letitia
standard
Stout
test
and all of those
worldwide
DID
in
cases?
this
What's
kind
her
of
name?
context.
Thank you. And that
Driving
report
me
that you have in
crazy.
front of you, did you create that document yourself?
Well, I created it in the
We're
sense
about to
that
find
I
out.
inputted her answers into the test publisher software on my laptop. I then double checked the answer through a process that's provided by the software.
I thought that.
And then I had the software generate this report, again, using statistical
I think
algorithm
it was
that is intrinsic to the
in
software. I
any
don't
trial,
personally
too.
score any of the
I think that was
scales.
her.
I don't personally write out any of the text interpretation.
One of
that's in
the
it. My job is then, how do
people
I
from
use
that
that
work.
information once it's available
Oh,
in
wait,
the
this is
overall
the
assessment?
trial as well.
And is it fair to say that you used
Yes.
this report
Thank you,
as
Sam.
an analytical tool in reaching your conclusions with respect to Ms. Ellis?
Yes, again, considering all the information
Something.
available to me from the records, the exam, the testing, I utilized inductive medical reasoning, a best fit logical reasoning, the same reasoning I would use if I was in an emergency room, if I was a surgeon or I was a radiologist.
Do you use this software and the reports that are generated from it regularly in your psychological evaluations?
Yes, I've used these tests several hundreds of times. I have the highest user rating qualification from both test publishers.
Weird
Okay.
drag,
And
but
do you
okay.
recall when this particular report was generated?
My best recollection is I generated it, shortly after the examination had been completed, but I just apologize, I don't recall a specific date.
Thank you. Defendant moves to admit Exhibit 229 into evidence.
Actually, that's in here, sir.
Your Honor, may I publish page 2 of Exhibit 229?
All right.
Well, actually, I have the best years.
All right, and
of it.
Dr. Rosenberg, you can see at the top there, I suppose.
I
you
got
have
all the XP
binder as well.
points.
If you turn your screen on with the top left button on the top left side, it should be on there.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you? Oh,
That's much better. Thank you, Your Honor.
I watch it.
Okay, yes, sir. I can see it now. I wasn't able to see that.
Thank you. If you look at the top of the page, it says validity scales. Can you please explain what that means?
Yes. So these are the most important scales of their type for this and the MMPI-3 of any test in the world, any psychological test. The validity scales look at how somebody is approaching the test. The first two scales, VRIN and TRIN, variable and true response indicator, look at whether somebody understood the test questions and responded to them in a consistent fashion. So those first have to be valid before you can go on to interpret the rest of the test. The remainder of the validity scales, the vast majority of them, look at their F scales because they look at infrequent responses. These scales become more and more elevated if an individual endorses or answers questions endorsing symptoms that are infrequent, meaning that even somebody who actually had that mental disorder would not actually endorse them. And these scales are scored against a large statistical population, cross-section population of the United States. And then the last couple scales, the L scale, looks at a different type of potential manipulation, portraying yourself in an overly positive or virtuous light. And then the last one is just a correction to that.
Thank you. And what do Ms. Ellis's test results in this case show you? I'm sorry, specifically with respect to the validity scales.
Yeah, so looking at these, it's more fun to do it from memory, but looking at these scales, they demonstrate that when Ms. Ellis took this test, that she generated scale elevations in the range that only reasonably could be interpreted as either severe symptom exaggeration or symptom fabrication. From a psychiatric standpoint, obviously, I'm not giving a factual opinion. So if we look at F, the third one over with a T-score of 83, so these are compared against a normal bell curve of statistical scores where a T-score of 50 is in the middle. And every time you go out 10, you're going out another standard deviation. So at a T-score of 83, the scale that looks at things like anxiety, depression, PTSD, she generated a score more than 3 standard deviations above the norm. And statistically, only 48 people out of 100,000 would actually generate that score, even if they really had the condition. If we then look at the other scales thereafter, the FS scale,
Yikes.
S is for somatic, meaning physical symptoms. The FBS, which is the fake bad scale or symptom validity scale, and the RBS scale, those look at physical health symptoms and they look at cognitive symptoms like attention, concentration, primarily if you're evaluating a brain injury claim. And so on those scales, with the understanding that, as I'll discuss, Ms. Ellis has not sought out any type of, from my review of the Kaiser records in my audio recorded interview, any type of physical health problem whatsoever, and certainly hasn't had a brain injury. These elevations are extraordinarily high. The FBS, or fake bad scale elevation of a T-score of 102, at 5 standard deviations above the norm, only 2 individuals out of 1 billion would actually have that score if he or she had a
So she's a liar who lies.
These are extremely high. They're far beyond the range of somebody who could just be distressed and is trying to emphasize how distressed she is, or so-called cry for help. These are in the range of elevation that no individual, even with the conditions, would reasonably have at that statistical elevation, putting aside that she doesn't even claim those types of symptoms in the first place.
Thank you. What types of symptoms would that be?
So for the FS, to have an elevation on F sub S, which is somatic or physical, especially a significant elevation, you would have to have a serious physical health condition. Let's say you have cancer, or you recently had a heart attack, or you're in heart failure, or you have uncontrolled diabetes, things like that. FBS is particularly sensitive to symptom fabrication or exaggeration in individuals who've had traumatic brain injuries. But again, even if you had a severe disabling traumatic brain injury and you were in a rehabilitation facility, your elevation would be maybe a T-score of 70, 75. Again, at 102, where it's 2 people in a billion, no individual who even had a brain injury would reasonably endorse that score. Where again, they get elevated the more and more you endorse symptoms that no person who actually has the condition would actually report those symptoms. And then RBS is cognitive. So again, it looks at things like attention, memory, and concentration. And again, hers is elevated in the range of 4 standard deviations. So, it would be well over 100 million to 1 that she would actually have those symptoms.
Thank you. Can you please turn to page 10?
And all that from a correct.
Of this psych testing report?
Yes.
Okay.
Towards the bottom, you see is written diagnostic considerations.
Yes.
Can you please explain what that section is saying here?
Yeah, so again, the report doesn't talk about Ms. Ellis specifically. It talks about, at a statistical level, individuals who have these scales and scores tend to look like this. And the diagnoses that are suggested are rank ordered. They're in the priority of how likely they are. And so the first diagnosis listed is malingering of somatic and or cognitive symptoms, primarily generated by the elevation of the F sub S, the fake bad scale, and the RBS. And so, and malingering refers to the intentional gross exaggeration or otherwise fabrication or manipulation of symptoms for secondary gain in the field of psychiatry, and is actually in accordance with the American Psychiatric Association's published guidelines.
And again, this section of the report, like everything else, this was generated as a result of the test publisher software. Is that correct?
Yes, the test publisher software, the statistical scoring, which involves hundreds of thousands of individuals, and then, detailed mathematical statistical algorithms that are used to score this test and prepare this report.
You testified earlier that there were other psychological tests that you administered. Are the results of those tests similar with respect to symptom exaggeration or fabrication?
Well, I'd say yes and no. The other test, the personality assessment inventory, does not have as sensitive of validity scales to detect exaggeration or other manipulation, though it does show some evidence of that. But when we look at the clinical scales on the personality assessment inventory, Ms. Ellis generated such huge elevations for scales like anxiety, physical symptoms, PTSD, depression, again, several deviations above the norm, that make no reasonable sense unless somebody was actually, for example, so ill that she required inpatient psychiatric care on medications, was critically ill or terminally ill with physical health conditions. The other inconsistency is that on the MMPI-2RF, she scored, accepting her symptoms at face value, she scored very high on symptoms for paranoid thinking at the level of somebody with a paranoid psychotic disorder like schizophrenia. And that was not seen on the PAI. So that would be an inconsistency between them. But it also would be another example of symptom endorsement that makes no reasonable sense except for intentional gross fabrication or outright fabrication of symptoms in this case. At that level of paranoid thinking, again, would be like a uncontrolled schizophrenia requiring acute inpatient care on medication. But by the same token, taking it at face value, it is, from my standpoint, of relevance to the trier of fact in evaluating somebody with that degree of paranoia and suspiciousness, how that individual
That's what I do, Vic. I just blame her for
reacts to or
everything.
responds in neutral situations, social situations, potential arguments.
You mentioned a high paranoid thinking score. I believe that's correct.
I'm sorry, so what did you say?
Did you mention a high paranoid thinking score? Is that how you phrased it?
Yes, on the three key scales of the MMPI-2 for paranoid thinking, again, typically seen in something like schizophrenia, she had significant elevations
Hi,
on those
Sunny.
scales, all three,
Hope you're doing
again,
well.
in the range, which the we see here in the
I
text
get the question.
report, how the
I get
report
I've
interprets
been
it.
there.
At the level of somebody
Hope your house is
who's a
coming
paranoid
together.
psychotic with delusions, not just somebody who feels, a little stressed or like somebody's looking over her shoulder.
And as a professional and a psychiatrist, how would you interpret that score in this case?
So again, I think there are only two reasonable ways to interpret it. One would be that it's another common manifestation in how somebody in an emotional injury case produces either gross exaggeration or outright fabrication of symptoms in an attempt to look injured. The alternative is that part of somebody's baseline where in day-to-day interactions, she interprets normal or neutral interactions as a personal attack. But the only other reasonable alternative, taking it at face value, would be she actually has a psychotic mental disorder like paranoid schizophrenia with things like hallucinations, of believing that there's a plot to have her killed, satellites are watching her, her phone is bugged, things of that sort.
And based on the other elements of your examination, did you make a conclusion as to which one of those would be true here?
Well, I think reasonably from a psychiatric standpoint, given all the other information available to me, the reasonable interpretation is that it's another example of severe symptom manipulation, exaggeration, or fabrication. But again, it also has to be considered, again, from a factual standpoint for the trier of fact, does it demonstrate paranoid thinking that can affect how somebody reacts in a situation or a disagreement?
But to be clear, are you diagnosing Ms. Ellis with, for example, schizophrenia?
No, that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Why not?
That's an answer.
Well, because in schizophrenia, and obviously there's a spectrum, there are individuals who are very well controlled on medication. I know I've had schizophrenic patients, who are like run corporations and do very well, but the vast majority tend to have very severe and chronic courses, often homeless in mental institutions. And so, but with these levels of scores, if you had schizophrenia, you would function at a very low level. You wouldn't be able to maintain reasonable family relationships. You wouldn't be able to hold a job. You wouldn't be able to function in major life activities. And again, you would require psychiatric hospitalization and antipsychotic medication.
Did you diagnose Ms. Ellis with any psychiatric conditions?
No, again, since I equate
No, she's just
a case like this, emotional injury with have you developed one or more psychiatric disorders as a result of your allegations of the incident with Cardi B. I have no diagnoses for her because she has sustained no emotional injury.
Okay, and apart from the test results, are there any other factors on which you base your conclusion that plaintiff hasn't suffered any mental or emotional injury?
Yes.
What are those?
So the first factor is that, again, I accept Ms. Ellis's report or allegations of what happened that day in that incident, reasonably from a psychiatric standpoint, that would be a stressful or upsetting situation. You might be mad or angry for a day. You might lose some sleep over it. It might be in the back of your mind for a few days.
That's the most traumatic thing that's ever happened to
people
you.
don't develop psychiatric disorders like an anxiety disorder, depression, from an argument or an unpleasant interaction like that on a single basis. That just makes no reasonable sense. And as we'll discuss, it makes even less sense in Ms. Ellis's case because it turns out, although she didn't share them with me when I asked, she's had multiple other traumas in her life. And according to her, those didn't cause emotional problems. So she obviously must have great resilience. And it would make no sense that this much more minor thing somehow would, when most people wouldn't. The other reason is that, well, I have a few reasons, but I promise I'll stop talking soon. Another reason it's important to understand that this doesn't constitute a trauma. Again, accepting Ms. Ellis's report of what happened at face value, it doesn't constitute a trauma. It would be a stressor to some degree on an interpersonal basis, but under the American Psychiatric Association standards for what constitutes a trauma, for example, to be able to develop PTSD, this does not meet that. It has to be something like life-threatening accident, illness, witness to violence. So, for example,
like $800.
Physical or sexual abuse growing up, kidnapping, sexual assault, military combat. These things are traumas, and they can lead to PTSD. An argument or unpleasant interpersonal interaction isn't a trauma and can't lead to PTSD. And that's particularly important for us since some of Ms. Ellis's most dramatic scores on the psych testing have been profound elevations of PTSD scales, again, in a range where no individual who actually had PTSD would reasonably generate those scores.
Are there any other factors?
Yes. So another important factor is, again, in accordance with the published generally accepted guidelines of the American Psychiatric Association in our diagnostic manual, whenever there is an psychiatrist or psychologist is doing an evaluation of a legal context where financial gain or some other type of gain is at stake, you always have to consider and rule out the risk of intentional manipulation for financial gain. And in that context, in this case, Ms. Ellis has demonstrated a significant pattern of inconsistencies and other symptom validity issues. For example, in my audio recorded examination, again, there's an audio recorded record, she told me, with the exception of a couple sessions of family therapy when she was 12 because her sister had been sexually assaulted by a neighbor, she could not recall a single trauma in her entire life growing up. Couldn't remember a single one in response to my detailed question. Whereas, for example, in her deposition, she reported that she was a victim growing up of domestic violence in the home, gang violence, other violence. Schoolmates were shot and killed. She was physically mugged in high school. Her car was broken into several times. None of those were reported to me. So those represent an important mismatch in a legal case where an individual potentially tries to make everything about the incident that can be compensable in a lawsuit. Another example along the same lines is in my audio recorded exam, she told me that all of her emotional problems from the day of the incident, in this case, February 2018 to present, have been entirely due to what happened with Cardi B and absolutely nothing else. And she couldn't identify any other stressors in recent years that could be relevant. Whereas, again, in her deposition testimony, the same year, January 2018, her mother was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. Later in the year, her mother had radiation therapy for cancer.
Objection right to privacy of the mother.
If you want to just describe the issues more generically.
My apologies, Your Honor.
Sure.
And the same year, one of her friends committed suicide.
But none of this affected
none of
her.
those things were
Remember that.
shared
Her words.
with me. So that would be another example. I do have a couple more.
I know, I disagree.
Are there,
That person said.
Inside that mismatch that you're discussing, are there any other general topics, general factors on which you base your conclusion?
Yes. So another factor that I have to consider as a psychiatrist and medical doctor is there a mismatch across sources of information, considering the records I've reviewed, the psych testing I did, the interview. So another factor, which is very important, is to correlate somebody's subjective, meaning what she reports, emotional injury claims of injury, with real life day-to-day function as a more objective measure. So in this case, if I accepted Ms. Ellis's reports at face value, particularly with the psych testing, she would have profound off the charts PTSD, profound disabling depression, anxiety, profound disabling physical health conditions. Whereas when I compare that to her real life function, she's had intact relationships with her, loving relationships with her family, which would not be reasonable in context, particularly of profound PTSD. That she's, in a few months after the altercation and continuing to the present, she's had a job that not only has been higher paying for her, but has been more demanding, requires top, excellent interpersonal skills, how to deal with people, troubled youths, and emotional resilience, and has, per her deposition, performed it well. Again, total mismatch. She also reported to me that since the incident, she's traveled to Hawaii, Las Vegas, Mexico, though she couldn't remember supposedly that if she had gone to other places or how many times. And again, even if you look in the psych testing report that was generated, particularly severe PTSD, you don't want to leave your house. You don't want to interact with people. You withdraw from your family. The future looks bleak to you. You don't have a job. These things are completely contrary.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right, Cross.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Thank you all. Good afternoon, Dr. Rosenberg.
Good afternoon, sir.
I took your deposition on August 5th and went over all of your opinions, correct?
We went over all my opinions, but it's very clear that you didn't ask me for all the factors in support of my opinions.
Okay. But I did take your deposition and took about 2 hours, a little bit less, correct?
Yes, sir. You were extremely polite and professional, which I appreciate.
Good. Thank you, Doctor. So you testified today that you billed $30,000 in this case. Is that often the charges that you bill for the type of case that's
Oh, great. We're on this by now.
and without the time for trial, of course, up until trial? Is that a reasonable amount of billing in a case like this?
I would say in a complex case that spans over years, that's probably true of maybe 25% of my litigation matters that I work on.
Okay, and in addition to the $30,000 that you received, you were also paid $1,800 by my office, correct?
Yes, sir, for my deposition.
And for today, you're being paid another $10,000 to prepare and appear here and testify and go back and forth. Is that fair?
I think that's reasonable, yes, sir.
Could it be higher than that amount?
I don't think so. I think that's a reasonable estimate.
So my estimate is about $40,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, sir, I think that's very reasonable.
This is a defense
And
witness.
in the past 29 years, you testified at your deposition, or I can ask you now, isn't it true that in 70 to 80% of cases, you testified on behalf of the defense up until recently, correct?
Yes.
And there's a well-known lawyer that we all know, no need to mention names, but recently he's been giving you some more work, so your 70 to 80% has gone down to 60%, correct?
More work on the plaintiff side, that's correct.
And as
Talking
far as
about? I
the
wanna know.
attorneys, Cardi B had an attorney before Mr. Kossoff and other lawyers. In working with their firm, you worked in 5 other cases with them,
That sounds about right, sir, yes.
and with their new law firm, Davis, Wright, and Tremaine, with Mr. Peterson, Mr. Lamb, and all the other attorneys involved with them. You worked in 15 cases with their office, correct?
Objection. Same facts.
Yes, over the past 20 years or so, that's correct, though I've never worked with these particular attorneys before.
And would you agree that in 90% of cases that you were hired in, you basically remain the expert on the case and you don't withdraw, correct? About 90%.
I apologize, I don't recall a case in which I have withdrawn.
So are you saying that every single time the defense hires you in a case, you remain the expert in that case without giving them an opinion before you testify?
Objection, this states.
Is that what you're saying, sir? So when you were hired by Cardi B's office, by her lawyers, when were you hired?
I believe it was sometime early in 2023.
Okay. And when you were hired in 2023,
Years ago.
did you
He just
ask?
wrote these questions
Well, strike that.
during
Did
this
you-
case. Okay.
You examined Emani Ellis in 2023, right? Or was it 2024? Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, sir. I believe it was July 21st of 2023.
Did you ever do any type of examination on Cardi B at any?
Given that that would
Yes, I
be
need to.
inappropriate since she wasn't the plaintiff with a psychiatric claim, I did not, sir.
Right, but she was involved in some type of altercation, correct?
Objection. Incomplete hypothetical.
I don't think it's relevant. It's not relevant whether she has any damages or not.
And what is your understanding as to what is the basis of this claim? What is Emani Ellis's claim? Why is she here in court?
My understanding is that she felt that she was verbally mistreated by Cardi B, including foul or demeaning language, that Cardi B touched her face with a long fingernail and caused some injury to her face, and that also resulted a month later in Ms. Ellis being fired from her security job.
Okay. Do you know, in psychiatry, do you treat patients that deal with assault and battery?
In my patient care practice, putting aside legal matters,
Yes.
What do you suggest for being ambiguous as to deal with?
Do you, so I'll strike that. Have you treated patients for injuries related to assault and battery in your career since 1994 as a psychiatrist?
a few hundred times, from very simple to extremely severe injuries.
When you say simple, what is an example? What are you saying to us?
Yes. So by simple, I don't mean to say it's not important or it's not serious to the person, but I mean, for example, let's say somebody being pushed or a hand on a shoulder in an aggressive way or something like that, all the way up to, people who are beaten and kicked on the ground with skull fractures and being hit over the head with, clubs and pistol whips, a variety of things, stabbed.
And when you,
like a altercation.
when you treated the various patients, would you treat them more than once? The ones that you're speaking of?
Yeah.
Typically, and again, it depends on the setting. As a medical doctor, I spend a
I
lot
think
of time in emergency rooms.
Fixed and
So there it might be once, but over the course of my career, overwhelmingly, particularly 22 years in a nonprofit clinic in Van Nuys, I would treat them on a repeated basis. Some of them I would treat for many years, although those tended to be individuals with major mental disorders like bipolar or schizophrenia.
Okay, and if you could just look at the other binder on your left, please.
Pardon me one sec, sir.
Exactly. It's very much a fuck around and find out situation.
Yes,
It's a lawsuit anyway.
Yes, if we can look at exhibit 1-003.
I'm there, sir.
At the time of your deposition, had you reviewed this page?
Objection. Beyond the scope of direct.
As best I recall, sir, I had not reviewed this particular page.
Do you remember in your deposition, I asked you if you'd reviewed all of Miss Emani Ellis' medical bill? You remember that?
I apologize. I vaguely remember that, and I don't remember what my answer was.
Is he designated for medical bill?
No.
Then I don't know why we're going down this path.
Okay. Thank you.
Even the judge is like,
I'm at exhibit number 2, sir.
You reviewed the medical records and bills of Dr. McKinsey, correct?
Yes, I haven't done so recently, but I did earlier in this case.
And we went over this together at the time of your deposition, and you expressed that for purposes of workers' compensation, the treatment was reasonable, but maybe for this case it's not. Do you remember testifying to that, Doctor?
Objection beyond the scope of direct and also beyond the scope of this designation.
Do you have his designation?
It's in the trial.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. Staff 8.
The difference.
As far as any type of physical injury, isn't it true that you are not giving any type of expert opinion about physical injury, correct?
Aside from her inconsistent reports of whether or not she was actually touched on the face by the fingernail, that's correct, sir. I'm not a plastic surgeon. Other than that, I'm not giving any testimony with regard to physical injuries.
And when she came to your
one
office,
could argue.
Did you examine her
But
face to see
no.
if she had a scar?
As I do
So
with,
yes or no? I'm sorry.
well, I observed her across the table for several hours. I didn't specifically examine her face.
Did you have an intention to look for the scar on her face?
Emani posts something on
Yes.
social media
Did you
about this
physically
whole
go
thing,
up
like
to her
after
face
it happened.
And look to see if there was a scar.
No, sir.
I feel like they said she did.
Are you giving any opinions about Miss Emani's physical scar on her face, whether she has one now, she had one from this incident, anything to do with her plastic surgery? Giving any of the opinions about that?
Objection, incomplete hypothetical, also beyond the scope.
Sustained.
Okay, and in formulating your opinions,
It's bogus.
did you review Miss Emani Ellis's medical records?
Yes, sir. And those were extremely important.
I bet that's where the trauma came from, is lying on the
You
internet and
reviewed
everybody
the
calling out
medical
your
records
bullshit.
From Nicole McKinsey, is that correct? Is that her? Do you remember that?
I haven't recently, but I have in the past. Yes, sir.
You can
Yeah,
look at
that's
it.
just
Did you
what I'm
review Exhibit 2?
Yes, sometime before my deposition, but I've not looked at them since.
And you reviewed Exhibit 3?
That's what I'm feeling.
Yes, sometime before my deposition, but not since.
Okay, and you reviewed Exhibit 4? And Exhibit 5?
Let me take a look here. Pardon me a second.
Objection, hop on.
As best I recall, yes, but not recently.
And in formulating your opinions, did all of these exhibits assist you in your formulating opinions and coming up with your opinions for us today?
The Kaiser records were extremely important because she had several visits and didn't report a single emotional problem, didn't ask for any care related to this case.
Objection, non-responsive.
So it's a yes or no question. Did you rely on the records in forming your opinions?
Only the Kaiser records.
I didn't ask you about Kaiser.
Oh, I'm sorry. You asked me about the Kaiser records earlier. You mean just the ones I'm looking at in the notebook?
I never said the word Kaiser. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Oh my
I'm sorry. I
God.
guess when you said medical records, that's what I was interpreting.
Yeah, I'm talking about the medical records from Dr. McKinsey, the psychologist, the medical records from Dr. Avila, a psychologist, the medical records from Dr. Mulliken, a plastic surgeon, the medical records from Dr. Norman, pain management doctor. Did you review these records? You testified in one
A
of those.
pain management doctor?
Did you use
For a
these
scratch?
4 medical records in formulating any of your opinions that you testified to today here in court?
No, sir.
Okay, so when you said there was inconsistencies, didn't you
I mean,
mean that? Well, strike
I
that.
probably
When
would
you
have
said
threw
there's
down if it was me.
inconsistencies, You found those in the
Okay.
medical records that I just asked you about? Isn't that true?
That's true, misbehaving. I
Maybe
agree.
I had previously. I don't recall if that's in my deposition testimony, but I did not consider those in formulating my opinions for today. It was the Kaiser records.
Okay, the Kaiser records that you're speaking of, isn't it true that the Kaiser records, any medical treatment that Emani Ellis received at Kaiser, it has nothing to do with this case. It has nothing to do with the
Then why are
assault and
you
battery.
talking
It's
about it?
something totally unrelated, correct?
Objections, speculation, hearsay.
Super problem solved. Sustained.
Why did Emani Ellis go to Kaiser Hospital?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Do you know why, from reading the medical records and bills, do you know why Miss Emani Ellis went to the Kaiser Permanente Hospital?
I thought he said it wasn't important, so
Yes, Your Honor. The answer is yes.
Why did she go to Kaiser Permanente Hospital?
Well, April 2022 was for an annual history and physical, comprehensive. November 2022, comprehensive history and physical. April 2023 with the PA was for a reported hand pain.
yeah, she did.
Everything that you just told us right now about Kaiser Permanente Hospital, as a medical doctor, and in reviewing all these records that you testified you read, wouldn't you agree that those medical treatments have nothing to do with this incident? Agreed? Yes or no?
Objection, very ambiguous.
I disagree. They're extremely important.
I didn't ask you if they're important. I agree they're important. Going to a hospital.
Oh my God, this guy
The
just
question
reminds
is,
me like
if the
somebody in
medical
like the
treatment
comment
that was
section
received at Kaiser
on the
Permanente
internet.
Hospital, if it has any relation to medical treatment received by
Kaiser
Emani
Permanente.
Ellis related to this incident that occurred on February 24th, 2018. Was it?
For my purposes, yes.
So are you telling us that Miss Emani Ellis went to the hospital in 2022 and 2023 because of injuries related to this incident? Is that what you're testifying to, doctor?
No.
I understand what you're saying. What you are telling us is you used some of the medical records from Kaiser Permanente Hospital to formulate some of your opinions in this case. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's true.
Yes, thank you.
And you use that for your different type of studies or MMPI studies and all types of different testing that you did, correct? But just so we're clear, the actual treatment didn't have to do with assault and battery or a physical injury. Is that correct?
This has been asked and answered several times.
I mean, the plastic surgery guy, like, I get
Alright,
it,
and
it's
then-
reputable, but like,
Then I want some clarity on the other 4 documents. The psychological, well, let me ask you this, as a psychiatrist, do you believe that psychological care with no medication is a respected medicine?
As a
What?
general principle, yes.
Have you referred your own
Question is
patients to receive psychological care?
Oh, innumerable times, yes.
And whether it's a PsyD or PhD or some other type of psychologist that's licensed, you agree that patients can receive medical care from those types of professionals and actually benefit from that type of care. You agree?
Well, it's not medical care, but I do agree that they can receive very helpful, effective mental health care.
So are you saying mental health care is not medical care?
I mean, that's always a debate, so.
In general, unless it's a psychiatrist, mental health care is much broader and refers to non-medical healthcare providers, psychologists, LMFT, social workers.
Do you believe that patients benefit from mental health treatment with no medication?
Again,
For the appropriate indication, yes, sir.
And how does it help if they go to a psychologist and they talk about their problems? From your perspective, you're a psychiatrist. You are the man who would know. So when a patient goes to a psychologist and they talk about their problems, they explain their problems, why does that help the patient? Why?
what? What kind of question is that,
I
sir?
don't know that it's relevant. So if you can establish some foundation as to why we're talking about other patients.
Okay.
Did Emani Ellis receive psychological treatment in this case, based on your review of the medical records and medical bills, from 2 different psychologists? True?
Yes.
And from your review of the medical
Can
records,
and usually does.
she went to
I'm in the, it's all
7 treatments
connected.
with
Some people,
Nicole McKenzie and other
Not
doctors
so
from her office. Is that true?
Objection beyond this designation.
That sounds about right, sir, yes.
right, great.
And she went to Dr. Avila, another psychologist. She went to his office and got treatment from other providers that were under him for a total of 12 treatments, correct?
Objection beyond the scope of this exercise.
That sounds about right, yes, sir.
And those 2 psychologists, setting aside this case, is there any reason why you as a professional would not refer a patient to these 2 psychologists?
Objection.
I withdraw the question.
Why does it matter?
If we were to talk
Oh my
about,
God, this guy.
do you remember at the time of your deposition, you said to me that you testified under oath that you worked alongside Dr. Mulliken in cases before. True? About 10 times?
Objection.
Well, when you say alongside, I've been on the same side and on the opposite side in several legal cases, not like next to him in surgery.
I understand. But you worked alongside him, meaning you've worked on the same cases in about 10 different times, correct? That was your testimony.
Yes, I don't know if it's 10 on the same side or 10 in total on both sides, but happy to accept whatever you say.
Right. And you're affiliated with UCLA?
Not anymore. I was a professor for 16 years, but not anymore.
Okay. And Dr. Mulliken is also affiliated with UCLA?
Dr. Mulliken is the plastic surgeon, if I recall.
I don't know if he's currently affiliated with UCLA or not, sir. He certainly has excellent qualifications.
Right. You said that at your deposition. Your words were, he has very impressive credentials, correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's
Do you
funny.
know Dr. Mulliken to be a clinical associate professor at UCLA?
Objection, speculation, beyond this examination.
At your deposition, you stated that you cannot say that the diagnosis was malingering. Do you remember testifying to that?
Yes.
And what does that mean?
You mean what does malingering mean?
Well, yeah, sure. I'm sorry.
I didn't know if you meant that or what I meant by saying I couldn't diagnose it.
Why don't we start with what does malingering mean?
So malingering is an official diagnosis of the American Psychiatric Association. It's not a disorder, but it's a diagnosis, which refers to a pattern of intentional exaggeration, fabrication, or other manipulation in a legal context for secondary gain. For example, in a criminal case, it could be trying to appear psychotic to avoid criminal punishment.
I mean, is the lawyer
That's
malingering?
typically monetary gain.
And you testified at the deposition that you cannot say that the diagnosis was malingering. Do you remember saying that?
Ms. Ellis, absolutely, I did say that, sir.
It's not quite.
Do you remember meeting Miss Ellis? Do you remember the encounter?
Yes.
Do you remember telling Miss Ellis that you were sorry about what she went through? Did you tell her that?
Yes, based upon her description, I told her I was sorry what she'd been through, and it was a pleasure to meet her.
So you were nice to my client,
And
you
the
a-hole.
testing that you did was in 2023, 5 years later.
Yes, sir.
Would it have been beneficial to have done your testing and interview and all the different things shortly after this incident?
I think that would have been
Probably.
beneficial as well, but also doing it again later is also equally beneficial.
Okay. And do you remember I asked you about discovery? If you had reviewed any discovery and you said you had not. Fair?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you actually asked that the defense provide you with the discovery so you could review it and that you would then give us additional opinions. You remember testifying to that in your deposition?
Objection, this testimony.
I don't recall, but I know I said that if I received additional information of any type, I'd happily review it, consider it, and it could modify my opinions.
Have you received those discovery responses?
No, sir.
Do you remember also testifying at your deposition that it would be beneficial to your opinions to see Emani Ellis a second time? Do you remember testifying to that?
Yes.
And that if you saw her a second time, that it could further modify your opinions in this case, correct?
Objection, this testimony.
Potentially, yes, sir.
And between 2018 and 2023, before you saw Emani Ellis, between that 5-year time span, her psychological or psychiatric condition could have changed, correct? She could have got better. She could have recovered, right? True?
I'm sorry, between 18 and 23?
Yes.
That's certainly a possibility.
Okay. And when she saw Dr. McKenzie for 7 visits
That's very
and
likely.
other doctors that work in Dr. McKenzie's office, those 7 visits, you say that psychological care helps. Maybe it helped her.
Objection, calls this
Oh my gosh,
Possible.
what is that person's name? So
Do you believe that
numerous
Miss Emani
people can go
Ellis
get cured from
benefited from the psychological
PTSD
care she received from
because
Dr. McKenzie?
they deserve
Yes,
to
or
know
no?
a piece of
Call for speculation.
And she also received from your review of the medical records, 12 visits from Dr. Avila's office and staff, correct? You testified to that. So would you agree that 7 plus 12 is 19 visits of psychological care? True?
Yes, I feel very confident in that. Yes.
Okay.
Doing some math.
Appreciate
Okay.
When you refer
Guy
your
is-
patients out for psychological treatment, do you usually give a limit on the course of care, or maybe 5 visits, 10 visits, 12 visits, or you just refer them out to psychological providers?
I'm usually quite precise, but it also depends on the type of psychological care or psychotherapy. Some are time limited, but on purpose. Others could go on over the course of somebody's lifetime.
All right, Council, why don't we focus on what his opinions are?
Yes, sir.
Oh, hello, Liz S. Oh, well, I hope you and you get through today.
Okay.
Totally
Also, we talked about the distinction in your deposition between factual opinion and psychiatric opinion. And you said that you cannot say what did or did not occur in the incident. Do you remember testifying to that?
Yes.
So basically what that means, just to break it down, is you don't know how this incident occurred. Is that fair?
Outside of a psychiatric context, that's correct. Actually, it's none of my business to determine what happened.
And isn't it true that you don't know if Miss Emani Ellis was assaulted and battered by Cardi B? You just don't know, correct?
Factually, that's correct, sir.
And you also don't know if Emani Ellis was cut on her face by Cardi B. You don't know that, correct?
Objection beyond the scope of this evidence.
Assistant.
Have you ever spoken with Cardi B at all during the course of this case?
No, sir. I've never spoken to her or had any other type of communication with her.
Would it have been beneficial for you to hear Cardi B's version of what happened in this case? Would that help you in your expert opinion?
I'd certainly be happy to weigh that and give it consideration, but my focus was on emotional injuries of the plaintiff, Ms. Ellis, not on an evaluation of Cardi B.
Understood, but would it have been beneficial to at least hear her version of what occurred in the case? Would that help you?
Objections.
I withdraw the question. Thank you, Doctor. No further questions.
It's a privilege to see you again, sir.
Thank you, Doctor.
All right, redirect.
Just a few questions.
You testified earlier as to your understanding of the facts of this case. Could you please explain what sources that's based on?
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
I'm sorry. You testified earlier as to your understanding of the facts of this case. Could you please explain what sources your understanding is based on?
Yes, so it's based upon my review of Ms. Ellis's deposition, the available medical and mental health records I've reviewed. Again, the understanding several of them I haven't reviewed recently. It's also based upon my detailed audio recorded several-hour interview with Ms. Ellis. And again, in the course of doing my interview, I accept hypothetically at face value that what she's telling me is correct. And then later I form my opinions, which may include opinions regarding symptom validity. But it's not my role to make a factual determination.
And all of those sources that you've reviewed, the facts come from Ms. Ellis or statements that Ms. Ellis made. Is that correct?
Yes.
And does that make sense to you that you would rely on Ms. Ellis's own statements in forming a diagnosis or lack of diagnosis as to Ms. Ellis?
Objection outside the scope.
Over.
Well, if it was a patient care setting, you typically rely only on what the patient tells you and accept at face value, or the person's there for help. In a legal context, it's not appropriate for me to accept what somebody says at face value without corroborating it against psychological testing and available records.
You testified that you did not formally diagnose Ms. Ellis with malingering. What does a formal diagnosis of malingering require, and why did you not? Scratch that. Why did you not diagnose Ms. Ellis with malingering?
Because although Ms. Ellis meets the fundamental criteria from psychiatric standpoint of gross symptom exaggeration or outright fabrication and a pattern of inconsistencies across information, she's had so many traumas in her life, both growing up and other losses and traumas around 2018, that I can't rule out that she has some sort of emotional problems at a mild level, but they just wouldn't be related to this case.
You evaluated Ms. Ellis 5 years after the incident, according to Ms. Ellis.
Yes.
Is that correct? In your professional opinion, what is the likelihood that Ms. Ellis would not present with any emotional or psychological injuries up to that date that would be related to the incident, but then after this date would suddenly develop emotional or psychological injuries related to that incident?
Objection, vague and ambiguous, unintelligible. No.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Overruled.
It makes no reasonable sense, and there's no significant likelihood that that would be the case from a medical standpoint. Again, the incident itself, taken at face value, constitutes a situational stressor, a stressful interpersonal interaction. It certainly does not constitute a trauma, as I've discussed. And for somebody to not have a psychiatric disorder and emotional injury for 5 years thereafter, but have significant evidence of symptom manipulation, and also to have the resilience to, by her own accord, report not have psychiatric problems from all the real traumas she has had in her life at other times. It makes no sense that she would suddenly develop it at this point.
Thank you. Give me just a minute.
Liz misbehaving. You both are super moms.
Thank you.
Bless you both. Also, it's just wild to me that Emani's just like, I did 12 sessions and I'm cured and it's fine, so give me $24 million. Like,
Other types of injuries that you brought up, someone was shot at school.
hello, good morning on topic. Thank you for the super chat.
Where did you obtain that
I'm
information?
honored to be head of your matriarchal society.
And both sides, I've thought it.
Hope you're doing good today, sir.
Did you see any other psychological records or bills related to Emani Ellis prior to this incident?
Outside the scope.
Assisting.
You generated a report, correct, on November 22nd of 24?
Objection outside the scope.
Assisting.
I feel like he's still questioning
One-line
this guy.
question relating to whether or not your client had a later onset of symptoms. I think you're limited to that.
Yes, ma'am.
When you said, when counsel just asked you some questions about inconsistencies and malingering, you said there were inconsistencies. Where were there these inconsistencies? Was it the time when you interviewed her one time, or was it in the medical record?
Objection outside the scope.
Overruled.
As I had tried to explain, it was a combination of my review of the records, the psychological testing, and my interview, comparing those, as well as intrinsic validity issues within some of those sources.
Which medical record shows an inconsistency? Which one?
The extremely important Kaiser medical records.
What does the Kaiser medical record say?
Oh
that's
my.
inconsistent?
That
Back to the Kaiser record.
April 2022, she went for complete history and physical. She specifically denied any kind of mental health issues, specifically denied anxiety, sleep problems, had no reported mental health problems, no request for care. Same thing in November 2022 with Dr. Ahmad. And then in April 2023, when she went in for her hand pain with the nurse practitioner, they also did a review of systems and asked her about symptoms across the board, which is typical for Kaiser. Absolutely no emotional problems whatsoever, no request for mental health assistance.
Is that after her car crash?
So are you telling us
I
that
think.
when Emani Ellis went to Kaiser Permanente on the day of November 29, 22, respectfully, when she went there for vaginal discharge, she should have told that doctor that she had psychological issues. Is
That's
that
why
what
she
you're
went to
saying,
the
doctor?
hospital?
Objection,
Because of
Your
her
Yes,
cat?
Over.
It was a different entry. I'm not
That's
talking
not
about
what I'm asking, doctor. Again, should I repeat what I said, or can you just
I
answer the
asked
question?
Thank you for the
Opinion
super
on that
chat,
after
Liz. And you are our
reviewed this
favorite
record,
Irish
Kaiser
friend.
Permanente, correct?
Thank you for
You
the
reviewed it,
super
you
chat.
just testified about it, 161 pages of records. And you said that these records show inconsistencies. And now my question is, are you telling me that my client went to Kaiser Permanente for vaginal discharge on November 29th of 22, and at that visit, she's supposed to tell the doctor that she has psychological problems? Is
I mean,
that
they
your
asked.
testimony, doctor?
Medicine's
Objection,
important.
argument is
Assisting.
Are
You
you
should.
telling us that every time someone sees a doctor, medical doctor for a cough, sees a dentist for their broken tooth,
Yes,
sees a podiatrist for the broken toe,
yes.
they have to each time tell the doctor, I have an emotional injury, I have a psychological injury to that medical doctor? Is that what you mean?
objection, argument is
Assisting.
Especially if you're on
What do you
medicine.
mean by inconsistencies in the Kaiser records? Tell us in your own words.
Well, I just mentioned this example, 3 key entries where she went. 2 of them were for history and physical, like general checkups, where everything was covered.
Show me in the book. Show me in the book, blue book.
Show me
Okay, why don't you let him finish the answer before you ask me
lots
the
of
next
cat talk. I was not
So-
prepared.
question?
No, Your Honor, thank you. So again, one was April 2022, Dr. King. The next was November 2022, Dr. Ahmed. The next was nurse practitioner Leon, April 2023, where these are records where, for Kaiser electronic medical records, they asked about other types of conditions, and there were no complaints at all from her that she had a mental health problem or was asking for any kind of care, despite these profound elevations on her psych testing. And in that first one with Dr. King, April 2022, she actually specifically denied problems with insomnia or anxiety, which covers a significant aspect of her symptoms.
Doctor, my request is you show me these 161 pages where it says what you're saying, so that I can confirm so myself. It's in front of you in the blue book under Exhibit 212. You're more than welcome to look at it, show it,
objection,
so that we know the truth.
objection, Your Honor.
Shut
I'll
up.
withdraw the question. Let's go to another issue, doctor. So
Right.
if the plaintiff's emotional injury ended before she went to Kaiser, would you agree that there would be no inconsistency because the psychological injury ended prior to that medical visit? Do you agree with that?
Objection, speculation outside of the scope of the law.
It makes no reasonable sense. It's not possible.
Why is it not possible? Why can't she recover? She could have recovered before she went to the Kaiser. She could have recovered, couldn't she have?
Which question would you like me to answer?
Could Miss Emani Ellis have recovered in
And
2021
they don't care, but it's always
2022
important. Especially for
before she went
females.
to Kaiser Hospital? Is that
It's
possible?
kind of important.
Yes or no?
Objection, incomplete hypothetical.
Overruled.
Taking her symptoms at face value, it's not possible and it's contradictory.
Hi,
So
Kelly.
in her mind, in her brain, she felt that she recovered after seeing these psychologists. But why would she tell Kaiser that she has a psychological problem if she recovered?
I'm sorry, counsel. So she does an exam with him in 23?
No, Your Honor.
When did she see him?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and you're saying that she recovered prior to that, but then had the onset of symptoms when she's with him?
My question is if the plaintiff recovered
Like,
in 2022,
You're saying
before she
something.
went to Kaiser Permanente Hospital, if she had recovered, would there be any reason to tell Kaiser she has an emotional injury? Yes or no?
It makes no sense.
I understand, but if it was true.
All right, I think we're done here. Do you have anything else?
In 2023, when Miss Emani
embarrassing for
Ellis
him.
saw you, did she tell you she was still experiencing emotional injuries from this incident?
Yes, in both the interview and particularly the testing.
And when she told you she was suffering from emotional injuries, did she believe that you're a psychiatrist? Did she know that?
Objection, speculation.
Sustained.
Did you disclose to Emani
Okay,
Ellis?
we're beyond the scope here. Why don't you focus on what was in the redirect?
oh boy.
You said there were some inconsistencies in the Kaiser records. Isn't it true that when Emani Ellis went to Kaiser Permanente Hospital, she went there for reasons other than psychological reasons?
Objection, asking us.
Sustained.
In fact, aside from, I'll withdraw that question.
Agreed,
The first
Bells.
doctor you said, Dr. King, that she saw, Dr. King,
We know.
right?
It wasn't the first doctor she saw, but it was first of my three examples. That was April 2022, sir.
When she saw Dr. King, where did she see Dr. King for?
Objection.
I think we've fully exhausted the scope of the sign-up questioning. Do you have
Yes,
anything else?
Judge, wrap it up.
Aside from the inconsistencies that you reviewed, actually, let me ask you, the inconsistencies that you're telling us about in the record, in the Kaiser records, these are non-psychological records, correct? Is that fair? I'll close with this.
Objection.
If you say yes to that, we're done.
Objection.
I just want the truth.
Overruled.
Yes, sir.
No further questions.
Any
Oh,
questions?
God. Giving me a headache.
I don't see a hand. All right, can this witness be excused?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, folks, that's going to bring us to our afternoon break. Why don't we get back together at 3:25? In the meantime, please do not discuss the case with anyone, including other jurors. Don't formulate opinions.
I mean, I'm sorry. How are we supposed to believe her, emotional distress? She had PTSD and depression and all this stuff. And she was fine after 12 sessions in a year. Like, I don't know. That doesn't check. I mean, I know everybody's different, but get out of here. Get out of here with that. All right. So, I mean, because most of it is up to you to do the work. Does she seem like somebody that would have done all that work in that time? Because if so, I need to know where she went, because I've been in therapy for 8 years, every week for 8 years. It's hard stuff. It's crazy. Oh, hold on. Oh.
On the record in that Alice case, counsel and parties are present, as are the members
I
of
mean,
our
it
jury and
certainly would
alternate.
help my depression a
Let's
little bit.
have another witness to call.
Yes, Your Honor, we call Dr. David Finke.
Thank you.
The doctor. Switch out the names here. And this is our last witness, actually, guys. So this is Cardi's, the OB-GYN that she went and saw that day.
Dr. Finke, if I can please have you stand right next to the court reporter.
Doctor.
Awesome, thank you. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly state that the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
May I please have you state and spell your first and last name for the record?
It's David Finke, D-A-V-A-D.
Exactly,
As in
Liz.
Frank, I-N-K.
Why she lied on all those
Dr. Finke, you may
exams.
proceed. Please watch your step.
She doesn't actually get how it works. A lot of people are like that.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Doctor.
Good afternoon.
Freaking
What do you
$10,000.
do for a living?
I'm an obstetrician and gynecologist
And
Ooh, he has a nice.
where are your offices located?
in Beverly Hills at Wilshire and Lapeer.
Is that a medical building?
It is. It's the Beverly Hills Medical Building, I think.
And were you in those offices in February of 2018?
Yes.
And what floor were you on?
The 5th floor?
What floor?
5.
Oh, sorry. And were you ever affiliated with Cedars-Sinai in any way?
I completed my OB-GYN residency there in 2010 and then remain on staff. I'm not employed by Cedars, but I'm affiliated. I admit all of my patients to that hospital.
Okay. On the 5th floor of this building in 2018, were there cameras in the hallways outside your office?
No.
And did your office sometimes make special arrangements for celebrity clients for privacy or security purposes?
We do.
And in 2018, did you have an open, well, should I put this, an open office on Saturdays? Did you work on Saturdays?
I worked Saturday office hours for about half a day for around 10 years.
To your knowledge, did anyone else in that building have Saturday office hours?
No.
Objection calls for speculation.
Does it? I don't think so.
In February 2018, did that building have a building office?
Yes.
And what floor was that on, if you know?
Is
4.
it because he has a beard, Kelly?
And did the building have a receptionist?
Not a receptionist.
Do you recall an incident in February 2018 where there was an argument with a security guard?
Yes.
Okay. And is that security guard in the courtroom?
Yes.
And could you point her out, please?
Miss Ellis?
Thank you. How did you learn of the incident?
I was in my office, in my office's office, and then heard a lot of yelling. So I immediately got up, ran down the hall, and went out into the hallway.
Do you have a clear memory of what happened next?
Yes.
Any particular reason that you have that clear memory?
It's never
Thank you,
happened
Kelly.
before.
Never change.
And what did you do after you ran down the hall towards the yelling?
As soon as I got into the hallway and realized what was going on, my receptionist was between the plaintiff and the defendant. And there was a lot of yelling, a lot of finger pointing. And at one point, my receptionist was struck, not hard, but I remember it was like on the shoulder kind of thing. I think it was her right shoulder. And there was a phone in the security guard's hand, and the phone kept going back from the ear to point and then back to the ear. And at one point, kind of both hands were kind of flailing, but not closed fists or anything like that. More swatting.
Did your receptionist show you a cut on her forward afterwards?
I believe so. Very minor.
Okay. And
Now
what
we're $24
was
million.
What is the receptionist's name? The woman who was between Ms. Ellis and Cardi B?
Tiara.
Well, you can have snacks any time
So
of day.
you see all that.
I don't-
You've gone out. I'm sorry. Where was this? Was this in your office or in the hallway?
The main hallway of the 5th floor, just right outside the elevators.
Oh,
And you hear yelling. You open the door. You see what you've described.
I got
what
a
happened
few
next?
nerd clusters left. I need to re-up this.
Let me ask. What
weekend.
did you do next?
Tried to de-escalate the situation, separate
Never
the
too early
two, and get our security guard back in the elevator and off the floor.
Do you remember anything that you said in trying to de-escalate?
I remember repeatedly, I was trying to match sort of with body, language, the intensity of it to get across the point that this was not okay. And
Trey came out across
this
very
is your job,
intimidating.
And who
to
did
those
you
two
address that
ladies.
to?
Ms. Ellis.
And did she say anything in response?
I don't remember. The There was a lot of name calling going back and forth between the two and threats, that type of thing. But my primary objective was to get our security guard back in the elevator and off the floor.
And how did you accomplish that?
Repeating myself over and over and over. And I can't remember if I was holding the elevator door open or I've been trying to think about that. I have no idea.
Oh, so he was
remember
like, he
pushing
needs
the
to
button if
go.
it wasn't.
The security
But
needs to
just to
drop.
try to get the elevator there and get Ms. Ellis back on it.
Did you come between your receptionist and Cardi B, between them on the one hand and Miss Ellis?
I think to the side.
Okay. What did you tell her to try and get her to move into the elevator?
I'm sure plaintiff will ask.
To stop and to do your job.
Did you say that repeatedly?
Yes.
Did you say it in a loud voice?
Yes.
And what was
Use
she
your
doing
big boy voice.
when you were saying these things?
Yelling and pointing. I think at that point, there was enough distance between the parties that there was no longer, any gestures that could be construed as violent.
Okay. And at that point, had the Cardi B and the receptionist gone back into your office?
Yes, as soon as Miss Ellis stepped back on the elevator, Cardi and Tiara were heading back into my office.
At any point, were you face to face with Miss Ellis?
Yes.
And can you ask me how close you were?
It was close proximity.
I hope so
Within
now.
a foot.
I'm going to be disappointed,
Okay,
Savage, if
within a
it
foot of
doesn't
her
happen.
face.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
did you see on her face any scratches?
No.
Did you see on her face any cuts?
None.
Did you see on her face any blood?
No.
Did you see any injury at all on her face that day?
None.
And did you see spit or spittle or any other fluid on her, anywhere on her?
No.
What is spittle? Spit or spittle?
During the course of
It's
this,
really two
did
different
you
things,
hear
I guess.
Ms. Ellis say something to the effect, and I apologize, I will fuck your shit up?
Yes.
At any time, did you see Cardi B spit on plaintiff?
I will fuck
No.
your shit
Did
up.
you see her spit on anyone?
No.
Did you see Cardi B take a swing at plaintiff?
No.
Did you see Cardi B hit plaintiff?
No.
Did you see Cardi B scratch or cut plaintiff with her
I mean,
fingernail?
he's a witness for.
Did you
Cardi.
see Cardi B threaten to get plaintiff fired?
No.
Did you hear Cardi B call plaintiff the N-word? And by that, I mean the whole Nigger.
Oh, thank you
No.
for the spelling, sir.
Did you hear Cardi B
For
call
the record.
plaintiff fat or poor?
No.
Did you ever see, well, did you see plaintiff, I take it you saw plaintiff hit your receptionist, is that correct?
Yes.
At her deposition, plaintiff testified that she was, quote, just focused on getting downstairs, close quote. Is that consistent with what you saw?
No.
Okay, and why is it not consistent with what you saw?
It took me, I would have guessed 30 to 45 seconds to get her to get back on the elevator.
After you got plaintiff in the elevator, what did you do next?
Went back into my office.
Did you examine Cardi
I saw her that day, yes.
in a patient room?
Yes.
And did she have 3-inch nails on her fingers that day?
No.
And how is it that you know that?
I make a point of looking at people's fingernails. I have no idea why. It sort of lightens the room when you're doing an exam, when you're about to do a pap smear, to say, oh, that's a really cool color. Where'd you get it? I can kind of tell all of the nail trends in the city.
Oh,
Because it's bizarre that once you see one type of nail polish, then that next 2 months, everyone has it.
you have like a nail
And
kink
it
or
would have
something?
just stuck out to me.
Okay.
To your knowledge, did Cardi B complain to the building
Ladies, do
about
your
plaintiff's
nails when you're getting your
conduct?
cat
No.
checked.
Did you take steps to make the building aware of plaintiff's conduct?
Yes.
And what steps did you take?
I called our practice administrator that day, and given what I had witnessed of the conduct of our security guard when I was out there, I said she needs to go. Then my administrator on Monday morning, I think, took Tiara down and made a statement for the building. And then the building proceeded to do what they
You're
did.
not painting your nose,
Okay,
Kelly?
thank you. Those are all the questions I have for you, sir. Thank you.
All right, let's see what plaintiff has to ask about. Sir, can you tell us all about the different kinds of nails?
Good afternoon.
You're at 8920 Wilshire Boulevard.
Yes.
Are you aware that I'm across the street from your office at 9025 Wilshire Boulevard?
Nope.
When I approached you outside and I wanted to speak with you, isn't it true that you were unwilling to speak with me? Is that correct?
Yes.
And when the defense wanted to speak with you, you did talk to them, correct?
Yes.
You even prepared a declaration, and you gave them permission to sign it on your behalf.
Yes.
And you are here because you want to testify in favor of your patient, correct?
I'm here because I'm one of 4 people who were in the hallway that day.
Right.
And I'm here to tell you what I saw.
And you've been, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And I'm just flabbergasted by the allegations that don't seem congruent with what I saw that day.
Right. On how many occasions did you speak with the attorneys from the defense?
In person or over the phone?
Combined.
In person once, twice, including today.
You are gonna
over
roll
the
this
phone
week,
3
Andrew,
times.
with your typos.
What did you talk about
I love
that
it.
was so important 3 different times?
They wanted to know what I knew. They wanted to see if they could get a hold of Tiara, who no longer works at our practice.
Snacks.
That's the nuts and bolts.
Okay. You are a licensed gynecologist in the state of California since 2007?
Yeah.
And in your field, your specialty deals with below the waist, correct?
Yes.
What is the reason you would think to look at Emani Ellis's face when you have 2 people that are yelling at each other with someone in between? Was there a reason that you were specifically at that time looking at Emani Ellis's face to tell us whether there was a scar, a cut, or anything to her?
Because it was right there.
When at that moment, she was closer to the elevator. There probably was about 3-4 feet between the 2. And I got between her and them. And the elevator was directly behind her. So I was making direct eye contact to try to be
It's
as
a very
assertive as I could.
expressive face.
Okay.
Look at that.
Isn't it true that you don't remember what you ate a week ago? Fair?
Objection.
This incident happened 2,741 days ago, 7.5
You
years
say
ago. Do you
about-
agree?
Correct.
In those 7.5 years, did you take any notes of what happened on the date of the incident?
I did not.
Okay. So everything you're telling us right now, from 7.5 years ago, is from your memory of what occurred, correct? And having all these conversations with defense counsel maybe help refresh your recollection, correct?
No.
No?
The majority of solidifying it in my brain over all these years is partially because the people who were involved in it, who were there that day in my office, would recount the story from time to time. And it was a very vivid memory and interaction.
When you got there, Tiara Malcolm, your receptionist, was already outside, correct? Okay.
Yes.
Are you aware that Tiara Malcolm and even Cardi B have testified that for 40 to 50 seconds, you and Tiara Malcolm were not there?
So
Are you
let's
aware of
be
that?
productive, Cindy. Here.
I would guess it was shorter than that, but if their recollection is 40 to 50 seconds, I mean, as long as it takes me to go down the hallway and out into the hall, the type of yelling that was taking place was alarming, and so it was like, get there right away. I can't give you an exact time frame, but it wasn't more than 40 to 50 seconds.
Fine. And aside from Cardi B, do you service other celebrities?
I do.
Many different ones?
Over the years.
And it's your impression, it's your, well, strike that. It's important to you to help Cardi B in this case so you can continue to receive celebrity clients, correct?
It's very important for me to tell what happened that day and to ensure that anybody coming to my office, celebrity or not, doesn't have that type of experience.
Good answer.
Understood.
Good answer,
But
sir.
you had not gotten there until after many things occurred between the two of them, correct?
Actually calls for speculation.
For what? On top to be a cat doctor? Or a nail tech? Which one? Or both?
Earlier, you testified that you saw Emani Ellis hit your receptionist.
Yes.
You remember seeing that?
Yes.
How come your receptionist didn't say that?
Objection.
Are you aware that your receptionist who was facing Emani Ellis did not say that?
Objection.
Are you aware of that at least?
I'm not aware of that.
Did your receptionist ever tell you that Emani Ellis hit her?
Yes. In the recollection of everything back and forth, and then she had a thing on her forehead.
Right.
It was very apparent to me that no hits landed on anybody else except for her.
She didn't
Okay.
sue Emani for
And
$24
your
million?
receptionist specifically told you that Emani Ellis hit her, correct?
I saw it.
I understand. But did your
I
receptionist
don't know
tell
that
you?
she remembered it. I mean, I don't. Everyone's adrenaline was kind of elevated. And once, we kind of recounted, there's some background as well. We had an attorney visited our office a few times in the weeks after the incident, inquiring what happened and various things, leaving a business card. So we talked about it a lot. And I think we both concluded that the only one who was smacked was her.
Okay. Did that receptionist make any type of claim against Miss Emani Ellis?
No.
No, because
Why
it's
not?
that shit crazy
Objection calls for speculation.
and ridiculous.
In your declaration, you state that on one occasion, plaintiff's counsel left a business card. I'm the plaintiff's counsel. Did I leave a business card in your office?
Oh,
Do you know? I withdraw the question. Do you know if I left a business card in your office?
Objection calls for speculation.
Oh,
You personally, I do not. It was a male, dark hair, darker beard, and my
Probably the workman
a
comp
different
lawyer.
receptionist got the business card, who wasn't working that particular Saturday. And I think at one point I came out on a different occasion when this person was came to the checkout desk, not the check-in desk, on a different date. And I said, you need to leave.
okay. The declaration that you signed yesterday, have you read it?
It was read to me.
Okay. Can you look at the photograph in front of you?
Could we be identified to counsel, please?
Do you see the photograph?
Yeah, I've been with her.
I'm sorry, Ron, I don't remember the exhibit number, but it's a photograph of Cardi B from
2018.
Your Honor, it's exhibit 232.
Thank you.
Oh my God. The photo.
For the record, exhibit 232. You see the photograph?
I do.
Are you aware that this photograph was taken on February 18th of 2024, which was 1 week before the incident? Are you aware of that?
Objection, Your Honor.
Do you know when this photograph was taken?
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
No, but it probably was around the time of the incident, I would guess.
And, yeah, actually.
No
If you look
guessing.
at the fingernails, since you're a fingernail man, if you look at these fingernails in the photograph, and
Fingernail
sorry,
man.
this might be rude, I'm just making a joke. If you don't. The fingernails that are in this picture, are these the same fingernails that Cardi B was wearing on when she entered your office on the day of the incident?
I think so.
Are you sure?
There's your
I
man,
didn't
Savage.
memorize them, but I know that they weren't 3-inch long with the spear at the end.
But you're not sure if these are the same fingernails, correct?
I believe they are.
Was Cardi B's hair this way when she came to your office, the same way in this photograph here? Was Cardi B dressed this way when she appeared in your office?
Objection, relevance. Okay, let's go.
When you came out into the hallway, did you hear Cardi B yelling profanities at Miss Ellis?
Yes.
What were some of the words without going into detail? The
Oh,
F
what were
word.
some of those?
F's and B's and all of it.
So both sides were yelling at each other?
It was an epic yelling match.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
And when you heard this epic yelling match, it was so loud that you heard it while you were inside of your office. Is that correct?
There's an additional hallway in between the main hallway and the office I was sitting in. And all the way at the south side of the building. Yes. Took a lot of energy for me to hear it.
When you walked out of your office, you didn't know what areas of the body Miss Emani Ellis was claiming injuries to at the time, correct?
Objection.
Epic. That's right. Not a super.
I withdraw.
I'm just asking a fact question.
Do you know what areas of the body Emani Ellis, what areas of her body were injured at the time of the incident?
Objection, argumentative, lacks foundation, contrary to all the evidence in the case.
Did you have a reason to focus on any part of Emani Ellis's body when you came out?
No.
So, in your state of mind when you walked out, you heard lots of screaming, 3 different women doing something, and you were focused at the whole thing, weren't you?
Yes. That was before I asked her to leave multiple times.
Of course.
But face to face.
Right. But when you did come out, you saw 3 different women and your receptionist in between Cardi B and Emani Ellis, correct?
Yes.
And when you were facing that, your focus was not only at Emani Ellis, it was at everybody, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And there was a lot of commotion and yelling and screaming and excitement at that very moment, right?
Correct.
And for how many seconds when you first arrived, how much time passed before Emani Ellis went away?
It seemed like a long time. It probably was 45 seconds.
So in those 45 seconds, did you have a chance to examine Miss Emani Ellis?
I didn't examine her. I looked at her.
Okay.
No.
Did you specifically look at her face for some reason?
I was looking directly at her face for at least 20 seconds or so,
Okay.
repeating myself over and over and over.
And when you were doing that, you weren't looking for a scar, were you? Or a cut or any kind of damage to her face?
Objection, asked and answered.
Fair?
You would notice blood on somebody's face, though.
Do you have any experience in plastic surgery?
Objection. No.
I am a cat doctor.
You may answer no.
Define plastic surgery.
You're the doctor.
I do cosmetic procedures on the vagina and the vulva, and I also do microneedling with radiofrequency procedures, CO2 laser ablation of things. I don't do the face.
I don't do the face.
Understood.
Just
So,
the cat. Meow.
if there was any damage to Miss Emani Ellis's face, if there was any kind of injury to it, would you have known?
I would assume I would see blood or a big scrape or some physical damage.
You know, like my receptionist.
And when you were out there and you were between the three of them, the three women, when you were there, and in those 45 seconds, did you see the cut to your receptionist's face at that time, not later?
No,
You didn't see it.
I never looked directly at her until we were back in the office.
But at that time, it was there, right? During the 45 seconds, it already.
Well, sometimes little scratches like that might not show up for a little bit.
What's a little bit?
Well, if I just scratch my hand like this, I might see it out in the sun, 10 minutes later from just erythema.
Okay. So if Emani Ellis got a scratch, she could also develop it 10 minutes later. Fair? You just testified to that. Isn't that true?
Your counsel to tell us what he testified to, but I would object, Your Honor. This character
All right, why don't we ask what this witness says about the incident?
When you spoke to defense counsel 3 times, which attorney was it? Was it Mr. Anderson or Mr. Lamb or Ms. Moore?
Over the phone, Ms. Moore.
Every time?
Probably, yes.
And for you to come down here and testify, you had to at least cancel half the day of your work, correct?
I canceled my whole afternoon on a day's notice.
Are you getting paid to be here?
No.
Why
Wow.
are you testifying if you're not being paid? Were you subpoenaed?
I was not.
So you came voluntarily.
I did.
And they believed that you would appear here today in court with no subpoena. That's how confident they were that you were here to help them, correct?
Any other questions?
When Cardi B came into your office after the incident, what did she tell you?
I apologized. She was more calm than I thought she would be. She didn't complain about the incident or to me afterwards, which I was kind of surprised about as well. I would have been upset if I were the client. And then we proceeded to help her with what she came in for.
Could it be that she didn't apologize because she was the one that assaulted Miss Ellis? Did you
How
have?
about stopping with the could it be's and just ask him what happened, what you saw, what you heard, what he smelled?
Yes, sir. Can you look at the photograph again? The one that you have in front of you, exhibit 231 or 232? This one. In the photograph, you will see nails, fingernails with some rhinestones on top of them. Do you remember seeing rhinestones on Cardi B's fingernails when she came into your office on the date of the incident?
Objection. This characterizes the evidence and the photograph.
Yeah, I mean, they were decorative. She was not made up. She was in plain clothing, but the nails were done.
And those rhinestones, were they
The nail guy.
sharp and pointy?
I think
Hi,
rhinestones
lady.
in general
Hello,
have
babe.
rough
Hope you're
edges.
doing
And
well.
they're sharp and pointy and with rough edges?
Kind of. But not
On
really.
the back, on the front side of the nail, on the top of the nail, they look like they project.
And I see that you're wearing glasses. Do you wear them? Were you wearing your glasses at the time of the incident?
I'm 99% sure I wasn't, because up until a couple of years ago, I just wore contacts.
Were you wearing contacts at the time of the incident?
Yes.
So there was no vision issues.
No.
I have no further questions. Thank you, Doctor.
All right, Leroy?
Oh, wow. That was shorter than I thought he would be, to be quite honest.
Doctor, you said that you were one of 4 people in the hallway. So that's you, Cardi B, Miss Malcolm, and the plaintiff.
Correct.
Was there anyone else in the hallway?
No.
Smooth sailing today.
Is it correct? Counsel asked you about cuts bleeding.
Hello, Mama.
Cuts and scratches tend to bleed more if they're on the face than if they're on some other part of the body.
Objection, calls for expert opinion outside the scope of this witness.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Is there a difference in the tendency to bleed if the cut or scratch is on your forehead or cheek than if it's on another part of your body?
The head face is generally, has greater blood flow, smaller blood vessels.
Yeah. As a fingernail guy, have you seen fingernails where the rhinestones are flat? They're actually just little inserts. They look like rhinestones, but they're flat.
Objection, calls for speculation.
Over.
I have seen objects put into, I would guess it's an acrylic nail, and somewhat.
He was talking about objects on nails.
Do you have any
Not in the
recollection
cat.
now, 7.5 years later, whether the rhinestones in that photograph and on Cardi's fingernails were actually 3-dimensional or were flat?
Objection, calls for expert opinion.
I'll be right back.
No recollection.
Okay. 1 second. No further questions. Thank you very much, Doctor.
All right, recross.
No further questions. Thank you.
All right, any questions from the jury? All right, this witness be excused.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Doctor. All right, does the defense have any more witnesses to call?
No, Your Honor.
Defense rests?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, does plaintiff rest?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, folks, that concludes the presentation of evidence. We have some work to do on jury instructions, but there's a number of jury instructions that I can read now. So rather than do those on Tuesday, I'm going to read a set of jury instructions. There will be additional jury instructions read on Tuesday. The order in which I read these instructions is not important. So to the extent that I read some today and some on Tuesday, pay no attention to the fact that they are given at different times. Does not mean that any have any more significant meaning than any of the others. And the parties have stipulated that the jury instructions do not need to be recorded by the court reporter. So at this time, she can stop doing so. All right, and again, I'll read these quickly. They'll be available to you in the jury room. Members of the jury, you have now heard all the evidence and will hear the closing arguments of the attorneys. It is my duty to instruct you on the law that applies to this case. You must follow these instructions as well as those that I previously gave you. You have a copy of my instructions with you when you go to the jury room to deliberate. You must decide what the facts are. You must consider all the evidence and then decide what you think happened. You must decide the facts based on the evidence admitted in this trial. Do not allow anything that happens outside this courtroom to affect your decision. Do not talk about this case or the people involved in it with anyone, including family, persons living in your household, friends, coworkers, spiritual leaders, advisors, or therapists. Do not do any research on your own or as a group. Do not use dictionaries or other reference materials.
Oh, dictionaries.
These prohibitions on communications and research extend to all forms of electronic communications. Do not use any electronic device or media such as a cell phone, smartphone, PDA, computer, tablet, device, the internet. Any internet service, any text or instant messaging service, any internet chat room, blog, or website, including social networking websites, online diaries, to send or receive information to or from anyone about this case or your experience as a juror until after you've been discharged from your jury duty. Do not investigate the case or conduct any experiments. Do not contact anyone to assist you, such as a family accountant, doctor, or lawyer. Do not visit or view the scene of any event involved in this case. If you happen to pass by the scene, do not stop or investigate. All jurors must see or hear the same evidence at the same time. Do not read, listen to, or watch any news accounts of this trial. You must not let bias, sympathy, prejudice, or public opinion influence your decision.
You should do like those side
Any of these
effects for
prohibitions on
commercials.
Communications and research, including prohibitions on electronic communications and
That's
research,
Angie.
you may be held in contempt of court or face other sanctions. That means you may have to serve time in jail, pay a fine, or face other punishment for that violation. I will now tell you the law that you must follow to reach your verdict. You must follow the law exactly as I give it to you, even if you disagree with it. If the attorneys have said anything different about what the law means, you must follow what I say. In reaching your verdict, do not guess what I think your verdict should be from something I may have said or done.
I don't know.
Pay
Maybe the word
careful attention to all the
altercation
instructions
and
that I give you.
incident.
All the instructions are important because together they state the law that you'll use in this case. You must consider all the instructions together. After you've decided what the facts are, you may find that some of the instructions do not apply. In that case, follow the instructions that do apply and use them together with the facts to reach your verdict. If I repeat any ideas or rules of law during my instructions, that does not mean that these ideas or rules are more important than the others. In addition, the order in which the instructions are given does not make any difference. Most of the instructions are typed. However, some handwritten or typewritten notes may have been added, and some words may have been deleted. Do not discuss or consider why words may have been added or deleted. Please treat all the words the same, no matter what their format. Simply accept the instruction in its final form. You may consider the ability of each party to provide evidence. If a party provided weaker evidence when it could have provided stronger evidence, you may distrust the weaker evidence. You may consider whether one party intentionally concealed or destroyed evidence. If you decide that a party did so, you may decide that the evidence would have been unfavorable to that party. If a party failed to explain or deny evidence against them when they could reasonably have done so based on what they knew, you may consider their failure to explain or deny in evaluating that evidence. It is up to you to decide the meaning and importance of the failure to deny evidence against the party. During the trial, you received deposition testimony that was read from deposition transcripts or shown by video. A deposition is the testimony taken of a person before trial. At a deposition, the person is sworn to tell the truth and is questioned by the attorneys. You must consider the deposition testimony that was presented to you in the same way as you consider testimony given in court.
So I was like,
before trial, each party has the right to ask the other parties to answer written questions. These questions are called interrogatories. The answers are also in writing and given under oath. You must consider the questions and answers that were read to you the same as if the questions and answers had been given in court. A party may offer into evidence any oral or written statement made by an opposing party outside the courtroom. When you evaluate the evidence of such a statement, you must consider these questions. Do you believe that the party actually made the statement? If you do not believe that the party made the statement, you may not consider the statement at all. If you believe that the statement was made, do you believe it was reported accurately? You should view testimony about an oral statement made by a party outside the courtroom with caution. During the trial, you heard testimony from expert witnesses. The law allows an expert to state opinions about matters in the expert's field of expertise, even if the expert has not witnessed any of the events involved in the trial. You do not have to accept an expert's opinion. As with other witnesses, it is up to you to decide whether you believe the expert's testimony and choose to use it as the basis for your decision. You may believe all, part, or none of an expert's testimony. In deciding whether to believe an expert's testimony, you should consider the expert's training and experience, the facts the expert relied on, and the reason for the expert's opinions. The law allows expert witnesses to be asked questions that are based on assumed facts. These are sometimes called hypothetical questions. In determining the weight to give the expert's opinion that is based on the assumed facts, you should consider whether the assumed facts are true. If the expert witnesses disagreed with one another, you should weigh each opinion against the others. You should examine the reasons given for each opinion and the facts or other matters that each witness relied on. You may also compare the expert's qualifications. A witness who was not testifying as an expert gave an opinion during the trial. You may, but are not required to accept that opinion. You may give the opinion whatever weight you think it is appropriate. Consider the extent of the witness's opportunity to perceive the matters on which the opinion is based, the reasons the witness gave for the opinion, and the facts or information on which the witness relied in forming that opinion. You must decide whether the information on which the witness relied was true and accurate. You may disregard all or any part of an opinion that you find unbelievable, unreasonable, or unsupported by the evidence. Ms. Ellis claims that she was harmed by Ms. Almanzar's negligence. To establish this claim, Ms. Ellis must prove all of the following: that defendant was negligent, that plaintiff was harmed, and that defendant's negligence was a substantial factor in causing plaintiff's harm. Negligence is the failure to use reasonable care to prevent harm to oneself or to others. A person can be negligent by acting or failing to act. A person is negligent if that person does something that a reasonably careful person would not do in the same situation, or fails to do something that a reasonably careful person would do in the same situation. You must decide how a reasonably careful person would have acted in defendant's situation. Causation. A substantial factor in causing harm is a factor that a reasonable person would consider to have contributed to the harm. It must be more than a remote or trivial factor. It does not have to be the only cause of the harm. Conduct is not a substantial factor in causing harm if the same harm would have occurred without that conduct. Ms. Ellis claims that Ms. Almanzar committed a battery. To establish this claim, plaintiff must prove all the following: the defendant touched plaintiff with the intent to harm or offend her, that plaintiff did not consent to the touching, that plaintiff was harmed or offended by defendant's conduct, and that a reasonable person in plaintiff's situation would have been offended by the touching. A plaintiff may express consent by words or acts that are reasonably understood by another person as consent. A plaintiff may also express consent by silence or inaction if a reasonable person would understand that the silence or inaction intended to indicate consent. Ms. Ellis claims that Ms. Almanzar's conduct caused Ms. Ellis to suffer severe emotional distress. To establish this claim, Ms. Ellis must prove all of the following: that defendant's conduct was outrageous, that defendant intended to cause plaintiff emotional distress, that plaintiff suffered severe emotional distress, and that defendant's conduct was a substantial factor in causing plaintiff's severe emotional distress. Emotional distress includes suffering, anguish, fright, horror, nervousness, grief, anxiety, worry, shock, humiliation, and shame. Severe emotional distress is not mild or brief. It must be so substantial or long-lasting that no reasonable person in a civilized society should be expected to bear it. Plaintiff is not required to prove physical injury to recover damages for severe emotional distress. If you decide that plaintiff has proved her claim against defendant, you must also decide how much money will reasonably compensate Ms. Ellis for the harm. This compensation is called damages. The amount of damages must include an award for each item of harm that was caused by defendant's wrongful conduct, even if the particular harm could not have been anticipated. Ms. Ellis does not have to prove the exact amount of damages that will provide reasonable compensation for the harm. However, you must not speculate or guess in awarding damages. The damages claimed by plaintiff are for the harm caused by defendant fall into two categories called economic and non-economic damages. You'll be asked in the verdict form to state the two categories of damages separately. The following are the specific items of economic damages claimed by Ms. Ellis: past and future medical expenses. The following are the specific items of non-economic damages claimed by Ms. Ellis: physical pain, mental suffering, and emotional distress. The arguments of the attorneys are not evidence of damages. Your award must be based on your reasoned judgment to the testimony of the witnesses and the other evidence that has been admitted during the trial. You must not consider or include as part of any award attorney's fees or expenses that the parties incurred in bringing or defending this lawsuit. When you go to the jury room, the first thing you should do is choose the presiding juror. The presiding juror should see to it that your discussions are orderly and that everyone has a fair chance to be heard. It is your duty to talk with one another in the jury room and to consider the views of all the jurors. Each of you must decide the case for yourself, but only after you have considered the evidence with the other members of the jury. Feel free to change your mind if you're convinced that your position should be different. You should all try to agree, but do not give up your honest beliefs just because others think differently. Please do not state your opinions too strongly at the beginning of your deliberations or immediately announce how you plan to vote, as it may interfere with an open discussion. Keep an open mind so that you and your fellow jurors can easily share ideas about the case. You should use your common sense and experience in deciding whether testimony is true and accurate. However, during your deliberations, do not make any statement or provide any information to other jurors based on any special training or unique personal experiences that you may have had related to matters involved in this case. What you may know or have learned through your training or experience is not a part of the evidence received in this case. Sometimes jurors disagree or have questions about the evidence or about what the witness has said in their testimony. If that happens, you may ask to have testimony read back to you or ask to see any exhibits admitted into evidence that have not already been provided to you. Also, jurors may need further explanation about the laws that apply to the case. If this happens during your deliberations, write down your questions and give them to the bailiff or the courtroom attendant. I will talk with the attorneys before I answer, so it may take some time. You should continue your deliberations while you wait for my answer. I will do my best to answer them. When you write me a note, do not tell me how you voted on an issue until I ask for this information in open court.
I just realized the jury didn't have questions for either of the last two witnesses, which
presented
is
in the case. Each of you may be asked in open court how you voted on each question. While I know you would not do this, I'm required to advise you that you must not base your decision on chance, such as flip of a coin. If you decide to award damages, you may not agree in advance to simply add up the amounts each juror thinks is right, and then without further deliberations, make the average juror verdict. You may take breaks, but do not discuss the case with anyone, including each other, until all of you are back in the jury room. If you have taken notes during the trial, you may take your notebooks with you into the jury room. You may use your notes only to help you remember what happened during the trial. Your independent recollection of the evidence should govern your verdict. You should not allow yourself to be influenced by the notes of other jurors if those notes differ from what you remember. At the end of the trial, your notes will be collected and destroyed. You may request in writing that trial testimony be read to you. I will have the court reporter read the testimony to you. You may request that all or a part of a witness's testimony be read. Your request should be as specific as possible. It will be helpful if you can state the name of the witness, the subject of the testimony you would like to have read, and the name of the attorney or attorneys asking the questions when the testimony was given. The court reporter is not permitted to talk with you when she is reading the testimony you have requested. While the court reporter is reading the testimony, you may not deliberate or discuss the case. You may not ask the court reporter to read testimony that was not specifically mentioned in a written request. If your notes differ from the testimony, you must accept the court reporter's record as accurate. And one footnote there, just as it takes us some time to respond to your questions, it also takes us time to isolate the testimony that you're requesting. So please continue deliberating while you're waiting for a readback. I will give you a special verdict form with questions you must answer. I have already instructed you on the law that you are to use in answering these questions. You must follow my instructions and the form carefully. You must consider each question separately. Although you may discuss the evidence and the issues to be decided in any order, you must answer the questions on the verdict form in the order they appear. After you answer a question, the form tells you what to do next. At least 9 of you must agree on an answer before you can move on to the next question. However, the same 9 or more people do not have to agree on each answer. All 12 of you must deliberate on and answer each question, regardless of how you voted on any earlier question. Unless the verdict form tells all 12 jurors to stop and answer no further questions, each juror must deliberate and vote on all the remaining questions. When you have finished filling out the form, your presiding juror must write the date and sign it at the bottom of the last page, and then notify the bailiff that you are ready to present your verdict in the courtroom. To the alternate juror, the jury will begin deliberating after closing arguments, but you are still an alternate juror and are still bound by my earlier instructions about your conduct. Until the jury is discharged, do not talk about the case or about any of the people or any of the subject involved in it with anyone, and not even your family or friends, and not even with the other jurors. Do not have any contact with the deliberating jurors. Do not decide how you would vote if you were deliberating. Do not form and express an opinion about the issues in the case unless you are substituted for one of the deliberating jurors. In this case, I've exercised my right to comment on the evidence. However, you, the jury, are the exclusive judges of all questions of fact and the credibility of the witnesses. You are free to completely ignore my comments on the evidence and to reach whatever verdict you believe to be correct, even if it is contrary to any or all of those comments. After your verdict is read in open court, you may be asked individually to indicate whether the verdict expresses your personal vote. This is referred to as polling the jury and is done to ensure that at least 9 jurors have agreed to each decision. The verdict form that you will receive the verdict form that you will receive asks you to answer several questions. You must vote separately on each question. Although 9 or more jurors must agree on each answer, it does not have to be the same 9 for each answer. Therefore, it is important for each of you to remember how you have voted on each question, so that if the jury is polled, each of you will be able to answer accurately about how you have voted. And we're actually going to give you your own copy of the verdict form. So please keep track of your own votes on the verdict form. The verdict form, the final verdict form that the jury foreman will have will be the only one that's turned in, but please keep track of your votes on the verdict form that you're given for your own copy. If during the trial any of you had a question that you believe should be asked of a witness, you are instructed to write out the question and provide it to me through my courtroom staff.
How many words do you think he said in the last like 5
or
minutes?
I decided whether the question could be asked. If a question was asked and answered, you are to consider the answer as you would any other evidence received in the trial. Do not give the answer any greater or lesser weight because it was initiated by a jury question. If a question was not asked, do not speculate as to what the answer might have been or why it was not asked. There are many legal reasons why a suggested question cannot be asked of a witness. Give the question no further consideration. During the trial, materials may have been shown to you to help explain testimony or other evidence in the case. Some of these materials may have been admitted into evidence, and you'll be able to review them during your deliberations. Other materials may have also been shown to you during the trial, but they have not been admitted into evidence. You will not be able to review them during your deliberations because they are not themselves evidence of any proof. Evidence or proof of any facts. You may, however, consider the testimony given in connection with those materials.
Meow.
All right. As I indicated, there's going to be some additional jury instructions that are going to be read on Tuesday.
Buckle up for tomorrow, you guys.
We plan on starting closing arguments at 9:45 on Tuesday. I need to meet with the attorneys at 9 o'clock. And while I think we'll be done by 9:30 to finalize everything, I don't want you to be waiting in the hallway. So let's plan on 9:45 on Tuesday. My expectation is we will be done with closing arguments before lunch and that you will have the case to deliberate on after lunch on Tuesday. There are several causes of action, and so I do anticipate that it's going to take a bit of time to deliberate on each cause of action. And so I would have a pretty strong feeling that it is likely that you will also be here on Wednesday to finish deliberating. So at present, we're definitely going to be here Tuesday at 9:45. You can anticipate that you're not going to finish deliberating by the end of the day on Tuesday, and that you'll be here at least Wednesday morning to finish deliberations and to render your verdict. And then you guys will know how things are going as to how much longer into Wednesday or potentially Thursday things will take. Okay, any questions about that? Please do your absolute very best to avoid any media. I know that there has been some coverage of it. If you happen to see something, just go ahead and turn it off, turn it away.
I can't wait to see this guy's
We don't want you to be influenced by any of the media coverage, okay? All right, we'll see you on Tuesday.
Can't wait.
Have a good Labor Day weekend.
No, we will not be getting into closing arguments and all that. Today, we're going to save that for tomorrow, where there will be some jury instructions in the morning. I'm going to check that out. If it's like pretty much the same, that would cut like 40 minutes off of the show tomorrow. So I don't know. I'll listen to it later and see if any changes there really were or if it's something we actually should, care enough to watch. Lady in Gray says, I hope closing arguments aren't disappointing. Well, I mean, that the plaintiff attorney would say he hasn't disappointed me yet. Meaning he's keeping me on my toes. So I can't wait to hear his dramatic, what I'm assuming to be, it better be dramatic. It better be, because that guy is something else. But yeah, we'll finish up everything tomorrow. The closing arguments, the verdict. There's a short press conference that happens right outside the courtroom. It's like 10 minutes or something like that. So Angie says you can cut it unless it's civil and different. You might want to show it. Yeah, I'm going to take a listen to it later and just see what actually is going on, because I didn't watch it. I just kind of like skimmed the day so I could, almost knocked my coffee over. Oh my goodness. That way I could get like a good gauge of how long the show would be that day. So I don't know. We'll see. Either way, it's boring. It's so boring. It's so boring. And honestly, I don't know if it's really relevant considering we know the verdict. But you know, I don't want to not put stuff in just because I think it's boring. So we'll see. Now, that's all I got for you guys today. I got some stuff to work on today. Tonight, right here, Terry and I will be here for True Crime and Wine Time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, where we are discussing part 3, the final part of the Aton Pate case, where we're showcasing the trials of Pedro Hernandez. And it is very relevant, so I suggest tuning in for that. If you haven't caught the other 2 parts, go do that now while you're waiting for us to come back. They're very, it's very insightful, and it's, you know, a lot of us are big proponents for justice, and I have some problems with this case. I have some problems and some strong opinions about that. These short trials are good for in between live trials. Yes. Oh, they go over them again in closings. Oh, yeah, that's true. They do. Kelly P asks, what is the next trial? Well, thanks for asking, Kel. So what we're wanting to do next is the trial of New Mexico versus Isaac Apodaca. It's like this love triangle murder that happened. That's supposed to start Tuesday. Now, whether or not that case is going to be streamed or not, we don't know. So we basically have to wait until Monday night to see if it's even going to be streamed for us to watch it. It's very interesting, and I hope it is. If it is, then yes, that's what we're going to do. It'll be New Mexico time, so it's going to be like a couple hours. You know, New Mexico's 2 hours behind East Coast, which is weird when you think about it, but they are. Now, if that's not streamed, I'm actually going to take a pretty big break next week. Wednesday, though, is the sentencing of Brooks Houck and Joseph Lawson. So no matter what, we will convene for that. Now, let's say, we do have that New Mexico trial that day. Then the next day, I'll stream the sentencing hearing for Brooks and Joseph in the morning before court starts in New Mexico. So we're either going to have a full trial next week. Again, won't be till Tuesday or Wednesday that we know. Or we'll just have, you know, a few short sessions, nothing crazy. I just have a lot of stuff I need to. My mom being like, no way. What do you mean you have stuff to do? You always have stuff to do. Yes, that's true. Angie won't have to get our West Coasters. You'll love that. Lainey says, I love to say, Llama, your chair makes you look to be wearing a Maleficent costume. The color, but oh yeah, because that's true. Oh, I do look like a Disney villain. I love that. Freaking love Maleficent. And the purple. Thank you. You were gonna say vampire. Okay, or vampire. Yeah, no, I own a lot of dark clothes. But yeah, so we're kind of up in the air of what we're going to be covering next. Plus, in October, we're going to hopefully be covering the Brian Walsh trial. And there's a lot of stuff we need to catch up on with that, I think, before the trial begins. So we may not do a whole lot over the next couple of weeks regarding couch court. We'll be doing lots of other things. I can promise you that. But we'll just have to see how things take us, which for a person like me, just I love that when I can't plan anything. Don't worry. It's not a huge struggle or anything. So, oh, you see it now, huh? I know, Liz, I hate the time differences too for all of our overseas friends. I am your Disney villain. I mean, you know, a lot of times they're misunderstood, is all I'm saying. Elvira, I think I'm missing a big part of the Elvira costume. If you know. I can't be pulling off Elvira, not even close. But yes, now if you guys don't know, yeah, the Brian Walsh case is in Massachusetts. It is the same area as Karen Reed. It has a lot of the same investigators. It's gonna be, we're gonna see some familiar faces. So we will definitely have to see. But you guys, that's all I got for you guys tonight or today. See, I need to wake up more. No. That's all I got for you today. Come check us out tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, so you can get the full story of the Aton Pedro Hernandez case. And then I will see you all for Couch Court tomorrow morning, 10 p.m. Oh, no, 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Eastern. You guys, I haven't even opened the wine for tonight or anything. So, all right. I will. What is the status of the civil trial with Karen Reed? I don't know, Kelly. I don't think it's anywhere close to being anywhere, to be quite honest. So it's probably going to be a while. But anyway, you guys have a wonderful rest of the day. And as always, go forth and be amazing. Bye, guys.